Hello and welcome to Playback episode 3. Today, we're talking about Destiny. I'm Since Clicker, also known as Sam, and that is Aaron, also known as One Aaron.
Hello, Eclipse.
Hello,
And
Eclipse.
Eclipse.
There you go. I scared him.
And Eclipse. I wasn't expecting it, right? I wasn't expecting
I like to keep on your toes.
Well, I don't have toes, so that doesn't work.
Anyway, moving on. Okay.
Now my feet pics are worth millions.
We have been playing a fuck ton of Destiny recently, because Destiny 2 had a kind of a comeback, in a way. I guess you'd call it a comeback. Anyway, we've come back to Destiny 2, okay, in full force. We've been playing way too much of it every night for the past, 4 nights now? Has it been like 4?
We nearly have 24 hours played in the last 4 days.
It's ridiculous. Now, we're both pretty big Destiny fans, okay? And we've been planning this episode for a little while. But we wanted to...
It was on the docket since the start,
100%.
Right? But we thought we'd wait for something to happen in Destiny because it's obviously evolving. But you can tell I'm a Destiny fan by literally looking there.
Yes.
I have it on my wall.
Yes.
I won that Taken King poster by kind third, I think it was, in the EGX Destiny Strike competition thing or something like that. I can't remember. But yeah, so I have been a Destiny fan since day one. I have played and owned the games since day one.
Yeah. I've got a little bit of a different history. We'll get into our histories in a minute. But this episode of the Playback is going to be a little bit different. We're going to have a little bit of a different goal this time. The other 2 episodes of Playback we've done have been very much series kind of look-backs, kind of just talking about the games. We're going to be straight up talking about the identity of Destiny this time around. And we're going to be talking about how Destiny is going to look in the future. We're going to be thinking about that. We're going to be thinking about what Destiny has done awful, the shit stuff it's done, and the absolutely incredible, amazing stuff it's done, and everything in between. And we're going to have a good time doing it. Now, I'm going to start off with my history because it's a little bit less interesting than yours. I started with Destiny 1. Well, actually, no. I started with Destiny 1's beta on the Xbox 360 all that time ago. Was that 2013?
Yeah.
That's 2013.
The game came out in September 2014.
And I think that was the first few quests, and I think you leveled up to level 8, I think.
Yeah, you leveled up enough to get to Venus.
Yeah.
So you got to see the A-Star Academy and the A-Star Sync and all that. But that's about it.
I loved that beta so much. I went through with every character. It was amazing. But I never actually got Destiny 1. I just never got it. And I didn't play Destiny until, again, in 2018, when Destiny 2 came out for PlayStation Plus. The free game of the month.
Yes,
and that was when Forsaken came out. So I was like, you know what? Fuck yeah, let's try Destiny again. So I played Destiny 2. That didn't come with Forsaken or any of the DLCs, as far as I remember. It was just vanilla Destiny 2. So I took a Warlock character and just played through the campaign, and I enjoyed it enough. It was alright. It wasn't amazing, because I don't think Destiny 2's standalone, just the vanilla experience, is all that great. Especially in comparison to the latest stuff they did. But it was good enough that I was like, you know what? I actually kind of want to go back to play Destiny 1. And luckily, they had, on the PlayStation Store, Destiny 1's entire thing for 20 quid.
Yeah, you could buy the Rise of Iron. So what they did with Destiny 1, and it's actually quite a good marketing thing from Bungie, pissed people like me off, who ended up spending £110 to get all the DLCs, right?
Yeah.
But it was a good thing, and I'm fine with it in a sense, because it's a way for Destiny to grow. It was a way for Bungie to make more money, etc. And do you know what? At the end of the day, I've got to support the people that are making the game I love, right? Mm-hmm. So I wasn't necessarily that pissed off by it, but the fact that someone could get exactly what I have bought and purchased all this money on, because £130 is what you have to remember.
Yeah.
Rise of Iron, Taken King, 2 DLCs, and the base game, £130. That's no cheap bit of money. Do you know what I mean? That's like a big chunk of disposable income. And then for someone to come along 2 years later, having to not go through all the shit that Destiny had thrown at us, which we'll get into.
Yeah.
We'll get into.
Yeah.
and then have them just spend 40 quid and be like, here you are. They bought Taken King with all the expansions for 40 quid. I had to spend 40 quid just on Taken King.
Yep.
Because we weren't allowed to buy that Taken King variant with all the expansions because it wasn't compatible or whatever. So like, so it's a whole thing.
But it was interesting.
It's not worth. Yeah.
It was interesting because obviously, like, I had never experienced any of those DLCs when they came out. I heard about them. Like, they were talked about, but I never ever experienced them or even like looked at them. I didn't know anything about them, right? And I went into it, and I was shocked because of how well integrated they were into the game. Because none of them ever felt like they were these separate packs to me. They felt really like well integrated into the main game, which is something I think Destiny's always done really well, is integrate new content into the kind of the rota of everything
like,
else.
They always have strived for like this evolving world.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of games try and do that. I don't think any game does it like Destiny does.
I think Destiny is really good at it.
I think Destiny, in my own experiences, you guys out there may have played something that I haven't that does it better, but is the best game I have ever played at maintaining an evolution within a world. Whether it's and I'll touch on this later. I don't think it's perfect because there are gripes that I've had about it. I've spoke to Sam about this many a times when we've been playing Destiny ourselves, etc. Which we'll get into. However, should we actually start having a look at the beginning of Destiny 1 and having a look from the start and seeing how it grew?
Let's do it.
Grew? Even?
Let's do it.
Right. So we'll start from the story.
Yeah.
As we did last time, we've set up notes and stuff, and we have like a section, but we're going to just basically look at everything at once and just talk about it. So the story, it had none.
It had none. It didn't have any.
Destiny 1, it had a storyline. It didn't have any story, though, and there's a big difference between those two things. So there was a line of gameplay to follow with story elements. That was great. It showed you what you needed to do in the game. But for a game that was supposed to be an MMO that was ultra lore heavy, the game appeared to the outside world to have nothing.
Yeah.
It was substanceless in terms of writing and everything. When you get into the nitty-gritty of like Grimoire Cards, which I personally think were a great way of doing the lore, and I'll explain this in a bit more detail now, but it's a great way to explain the lore, then the game had so much depth. There was so much being spoken about. And when you heard people referencing the Grimoire Cards then and the stories you read in them, you're like, holy shit, that is such a good one. Yes, I like it. And it is this kind of like remembrance that isn't in the game. And that is what something that I think that they've changed now, as you can see by the whole triumph system and everything in Destiny 2.
I think Destiny 1 has kickstarted something that I still think they haven't really recovered from, which is you have to fight to get to the story in these games. You have to put effort in to actually figuring out what is going on. And in some cases, in some games, I think that's done well. Like you take Dark Souls, for example. Dark Souls storytelling is very obtuse. Like, you can spend hours and not know what the hell's going on. But I think the difference is that in Destiny, it was marketed to be a very, like, straightforward, like, storyline, like, epic adventure scenario kind of deal. But it never really gave you that.
But that's the thing. I kind of disagree with that opinion, because I think in the sense of it being this epic adventure, it is. And that is exactly what that game does. And that's why so many people love it, is because it's this massive adventure. So through many worlds that have been imagined in this like scenario after the travelers come with all this light and how everything, and you're just walking around Mars, you're walking around Venus, and you're like, holy shit, like what?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But the big part of their marketing ploy was story, epic adventure.
These are the Halo guys.
And,
like, the guys who did fucking Halo. Like, that story is celebrated, right? And you go to Destiny and it's just not... It's not up on the same level? I don't know. But then you gotta wonder, like, was he even trying to be? you gotta wonder, like, what were their actual goals and ambitions here? Because I don't think they were trying to make story that was like on the scale of Halo. Because I think the storytelling in that game, like beyond the main campaign, is a lot more focused on what you do as a player, like what you discover, what you glean from that content. Like, I don't think main quests in Destiny have never really been good, and the main stories have never been that good either. And it's just weird to me.
Yeah, so to talk about the main story in Destiny 1, you have to look at the implications. As we said, we think the evolving world in Destiny, massive, amazing. We love it, right? We love it.
Yeah.
But then you do look at things like the original storyline was, and spoiler alert, obviously, I'm not going to lie, if you've come to this video not expecting spoilers, you're doing something wrong.
Leave.
But
Leave.
spoiler alert. Yeah, spoiler alert. You and the entire premise of that is when you get to Venus, you're trying to just stop a bunch of Fallen from like damaging the city, etc., etc. When you get to Venus, you get approached by a mysterious stranger. Now, up until this point, this is just some fucking character there that's leading the way, holding your hand. You see them on the moon. You see them on the moon, and they're like, "Hey, I'm staring at you. I'm stalking you. I'm looking from this top of this cavern when you go into the Temple of Crota. I'm there. I'm just this EXO. I'm this Lady EXO. Ooh. You know what I mean? And you go to Venus to kill a Cal, and when you're there, you're in the Ishtar Academy, and this mysterious stranger comes up to you when you're killing a bunch of Vex. She goes, there's this massive threat called the Black Garden. The Black Heart at the Black Garden. You got to kill it. You got to do it, mate. Otherwise, it's the end of the world. It's the end of the world. Boom, wait. So you're like, and you know what? Up until this point, I think the story actually does an okay job. Because the story is all about just teaching you how to play the game at this point. You know, it's teaching you about the different races. So you've met the Fallen. It explains to you the houses. You've met the Hive. It explains to you that they have a god called Crota. They killed pretty much hundreds of Guardians. You now meet the Vex. And when you meet the Vex, this mysterious stranger is like, bro, watch the fuck out for these guys. Do you know what I mean? And you're then like, holy shit, these are the guys. These are those people that we've got to fucking, oi, let's go.
I can't wait to edit this, by the way, because I'm just going to make this like an abridged. Like, it's going to be great.
But, yeah, and so you're like, right, okay. So you go back to the Vanguard, you tell them, bro, we got to go and kill this Black God. Some fucking woman told me I needed to do it. Do you know what I mean? It's like, she told me I got to do it. I got to do it, like, you know?
Bro,
so you go through all this thing. You go and talk to the Awoken, which is an amazing race and everything. And then you talk to these people, and they're all amazing. It's great. And then when you look back at the story, I think is when you really think, well, there wasn't much to it, was there? But you finally get to Mars. You finally figure out, you go through this Vex Gate, you go to the Blackguard, you kill the Black Heart, you kill 3 Vex Gate Lords. Whoop-de-doo, you saved the day. But nothing happens. Yeah. And I think that is the biggest fuck you that Destiny has ever done. Right? The biggest fuck you. Because you have just spent, in my case, 2 days. I spent 2 days playing the game to finish this main story, which, for a game that's meant to be as expansive as it was sold to us, should never have taken just 2 days. Just putting that out there. We'll get to that in a minute, though. So you kill the Black Garden. Black Heart in the Black Garden was the epicenter of where the Vex came from. It was what gave the Vex life, right? That's what we get told. You do not see that have a singular effect on anything Vex ever. We have killed their literal god and creator, yet and this is what I was on about, the world impact that Guardians have. So if we just look at the player base, it's like 70 million people play Destiny. How much they play Destiny is obviously thing, but there was a stat out there somewhere that there was nearly 2 billion enemies killed of each faction, not overall, of each faction. So think about it. You've killed 2 billion Vex. I get they time travel. I can get they time travel. You've killed 2 billion Vex. You've now forever stopped their production ability of more Vex and better Vex, yet they still have billions more to send to you.
Mm.
You would expect at least to see a few less numbers here and there instead of more billions being sent. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, there's definitely lore ways around it, and there's definitely a lot of ways around it, and to explain that. But the issue I have with is that you kill. There's 2 armies of Cabal, for example, in the solar system in Destiny 1. You kill a fuck ton of Cabal.
A fuck ton.
Right?
Yeah.
A fuck ton is the best way to explain it. I can't remember, I think Cabal was the lowest numbers because I think they appear in the least amount of places in Destiny 1. But like, you kill a lot of Cabal. Just straight up. But these armies then, 2 years later, when Taken King comes out, can still try and make this last-ditch effort to invade the Dreadnought. Like, come on.
Yeah.
What? Do you know what I mean?
It's the absolute biggest problem with Destiny storytelling, and this goes for the entire series. I genuinely don't think it's something that they'll ever really sort out. Is because none of the games have consequence, really. Every single action in Destiny, I feel like, has never had a supreme consequence on the world or the player base. I've never once seen it actually happen. And I feel like maybe there is a few circumstances where it has, but it clearly hasn't been big enough, right? You always have these world-ending scenarios, but none of them ever really matter, and you never really care about any of them. There's no agency. I
think the biggest world-ending scenarios we've had, the 2, is Trials of Osiris, not Trials of Osiris, the Osiris DLC. When you were quite literally stopping the Vex from just machine forming all of these planets and just ending the universe.
Yeah.
And the end of the Red War. Because that, and I think the single biggest effect, other than the pyramid ships, which obviously, I don't want to skip too far ahead, but other than the pyramid ships, the Red War is the only thing that's had the single biggest effect on how the world works. The tower's different. You're in a different place. There are non-guardians in the tower that are actual vendors and stuff now. There's this, that, and the other. And that is all because of the Red War.
Yeah.
You also have a new social area called the Farm. Obviously, we've had like the Reef and stuff before, so it's not that big a deal. But like, it was this new environment that we got pushed into. We were, for the first time in Destiny history, pushed underground effectively. Do you know what I mean? In terms of being a guardian, you're this big badass fucking, I kill everything. I kill billions of enemies. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So now you're hiding in a farm in the middle of a literal place called the European Dead Zone. Do you know what I mean? Like, in all of Destiny 1, you're told never to go there, really, other than the times you fight in the Crucible. And now that's the place you're going to all the time. But before we continue more on Destiny 2, I think we should finish Destiny 1 first.
Yeah, because we have an issue of moving on too quickly in the show and then like doubling back.
So I think the only other, I think there's maybe 2 other things I want to mention about the story before we move on. One of them is obviously the consequence, but the story always hypes up this massive event to happen, i.e. the Black Garden. You kill it, everyone's like, yeah, fucking go on, bro. Yeah, woo.
Ooh, yeah, bro.
And then everything just dies. And like, this is when my history, I was explaining all this to Sam last night because we were going over how we wanted to go about this. I was explaining to him how I played the original Destiny and how I didn't really, I have 5,000 hours in that game.
Yeah.
Yet for probably about the first year, I didn't really play it. Even though I had 5,000 hours in it by the end.
That shocks me.
So what happened was, I played for the first week. So from the 6th of September, I owned that game. I played it on the 6th of September and the 7th of September and finished the main storyline. I then played it for the rest of the week, not really understanding how the light level worked because it didn't really explain. I didn't really understand the importance of anything. I did all the strikes. I did all the missions and the quests and the after-story quests and this, that, and the other. And I was kind of like, all right, well, I'm done. I was like, what else am I supposed to do? I didn't know there was a raid coming. But the worst part about that for me was I was a solo player. I didn't know, there was no raid matchmaking or anything. It's not as if I could have played it anyway.
Yeah.
So the Vault of Glass came out, and the Vault of Glass made a massive difference because as soon as the Vault of Glass came out, you had something to do every week in Destiny. I didn't have that in my mind because I didn't know that was a thing. This was my first time probably playing an MMO at all, like
Yeah.
that was actually set up like this.
Hmm.
It didn't make any. It was not very self-explanatory, and I guess this moves into like that gameplay elements in a bit. And so the fact that you could finish that game ultimately without the raid in a week was abysmal, considering it was nearly a full. I think it was 2 months and a half until the first DLC came out.
Hmm.
Albeit that DLC was not supposed to be a DLC. That DLC was supposed to be the Taken King. However,
Yeah.
you don't talk about that because Activision were dickheads. Anyway, on a last topic of the story before we move on, the game completely forgot about characters all the time.
Yeah.
Mysterious Stranger is obviously the biggest one. We'll get on to the Mysterious Stranger when we start talking about the future of Destiny, because that is an exciting thing that they've actually made full circle. But, you know, outside of the story, if you have anything else to add, Sam, before we move on?
I think the story in Destiny 1 is something that I feel like could have been really cool, and in some cases it really was, but my main issue was that nothing happened. Like, things happened, but nothing really happened in Destiny 1.
Destiny 1's main storyline, everything during the, and this is the thing, during the storyline, I don't think you actually realized that you were missing out on anything, right? Don't think you're actually missing that. Soon as you finish that last mission and you do maybe one other thing, that's when you're a bit like, oh, well,
yeah,
what?
Even like me, who played that game in 2018, when I had like content afterwards, I beat the main game. I was like, oh, what do I do now? Like, even for 10 minutes, I was like, well, what now? Like, it's just so badly done.
And it's not, and the thing is as well, unless you, other than when you bought like the Dark Blow or the House of Wolves, it didn't directly tell you, yes, go and talk to Ares now, because it didn't really have that kind of concept about it. And so, like, it did mess up a bit when it came to people trying to play the original game again. But I think they tried to forget about that and just make you focus on the Taken King, Rise of Iron, which was things they did great in that game in terms of story. We'll get on, the DLC will have its own thing story-wise, like towards the end of when we're talking about Destiny, because, you know, they're not anywhere near as big as the main story. But, like, yeah.
Let's do
gameplay, though. The shooting is probably one of my favorite games for gunplay ever.
I think Destiny has some of the best first-person action in any game.
Oh yeah,
bar none.
100%.
Bar none. Especially in terms of a multiplayer game, like an MMO. Like the quality of the gameplay and the shooting here is second to none, and I feel like that's undeniable.
It's Halo-esque. Bungie, I don't think I can ever say that Bungie would make bad shooting. You know, like in our last episode, we were on about BioWare never did shooting before. They were shit at it at first.
They were fucking awful.
Not even gonna lie. You come in to making this game with the developers of Halo, one of the best FPSs ever. You stick that into this kind of world, it just went amazing. With the newer technology and the newer engine, everything, it felt fantastic. And like, honestly, the shooting, hitting the head of a bloody Fallen from 100 yards away with a sniper felt just as satisfying as having an assault rifle right up close in the nitty gritty. And and I've very rarely find games that can do that, make me play any way I want to, and I still love it.
My thing is, like, I don't really like Halo that much. I don't like the combat in Halo. I don't like the gunplay. None of the guns feel really satisfying to me. I just don't like playing Halo that much, right? Which is why it was so shocking to me that I love Destiny so much. Because in a way, Destiny feels very similar to Halo, but it just feels so much more satisfying. Every gun in Destiny feels fun to use. Like, every gun. And the best part is that every enemy type is also pretty fun to kill. Some are more annoying than others, but the fact that each enemy has a slightly different way you can approach them in combat makes it so much more engaging.
That's what we say about Gambit every time we get someone that we don't want.
Yeah. My God.
Yeah. And like you touched upon it there, but I gotta say, right, for an early game, base game, the weapon selection just in the base game was amazing. Let alone when they added DLC weapons. Taken King weapons, which basically brought out an entire extra main story worth of guns to the mix.
And I don't think...
And then Rise of Iron weapons, all of this. And
exactly.
They always made it lore specific. They always made it work with the new storyline. The guns came about because there was an evolution in the world. And
exactly. I think
it's so great.
The coolest part of Destiny to me, in terms of the world space and in terms of the gameplay, is that you'll go to the tower, you'll go to the hubs, right? And you'll see another player walking around. He's got shiny armor. He's got an amazing gun on his back, and all you gotta think about is like, whoa, what are those? Can I get those? Yes, you can. Just play the game. You'll get those. Like, other Guardians, other players are walking advertisements for why you should keep playing the game. Like, it's amazing.
Literally. And you know what the best part is? On console, back when it was only console, you wanted to know, holy shit, I want that gun. You look at the guy, you press your right stick, you inspect the fucker, and you know what he is, you know what he's got, and you can go and get that exact same thing, because you know.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the times, those weapons will tell you, yeah, you get it from the Vault of Glass. You get it from this. You get it from that. It's like, dope. That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
You have clear goals beyond with that. You have clear goals. You know exactly what you want to do. You can be like, I want to get that, and you can work towards getting it. It's amazing.
And that's the thing, right? And that's the thing. So, like, Destiny, and this was a big thing it struggled with at the beginning. It didn't have any of that direct, like, you could inspect people still. You could do all this, that, and the other, and you could all get these different guns. But I didn't know exotics were even a thing in that game until I came back to play Dark Below, and a person in a raid when I did Crota's End for the first time got an exotic. And I was like, what the fuck's, why is it yellow? I was like, what? And like, I remember exotic engram farming, the bloody Cosmodrome with the cave that respawned every 2 minutes. There would be about 20 maybe Guardians sitting there fucking firing bullets continuously into this stream of enemies who were just floating out of this thing. Even when they nerfed that way of farming, it still had about 10 people there because it still did the same thing. And like, it was great seeing these people all like collectively gathering. And that was something I think I also hadn't seen from like an MMO or anything before, was you had a collective constantly doing everything. If you had a public event, there were people there with you. If you had this, there was people there with you. And I think it's something that Destiny 2 still does great today.
Yeah.
And I think
well, I think one thing for me is like Destiny has one of the best loot systems in any game for me. In any game. Because getting a legendary feels so satisfying. Getting an exotic feels so good. Like, even back in Destiny 1, like, those things were amazing. They felt great. No other game feels as cool to me to get this stuff. And I don't know why exactly. Maybe it's because I love the Destiny designs a lot more than other games, but I don't know. There's just something about it. There's just something so satisfying about getting those drops in Destiny. It just keeps me going. It just keeps me going. Keeps me alive. You know?
Yeah.
It's great. It's great shit.
I kind of have to agree though. Like, ultimately, it's what kept me going. It's what kept me going. Right, I want to keep playing this game. I want to keep doing this. I want to keep doing this. I want to keep doing this. And that is where my 5,000 hours come from. Now, I'll give a little tidbit. The first ever exotic I got was the Icebreaker. And I had to buy it from Zer. I did not get exotics dropped for me. I was the unluckiest Destiny 1 player. I had a grand total, by the time Taken King came out, I think I had one exotic drop for me. I would solo Crota's End raid every single fucking week. I still didn't get exotic drop for me. It was the worst thing ever.
I got my first exotic drop in Prison of Elders in Destiny 1. That was my very first drop. And it was a gun I never used. I still can't remember the name of it. If anyone wants to let me know,
Is it a Lord of Wolves?
No,
because that dropped as an exotic drop in the Prison of Elders.
It was like a single shot rifle. But it looked like an old-timey rifle.
I know what you're on about. Why can't I think of the name?
I know.
Oh, shit.
I don't know the name.
You're forever going to piss me off with that. Yeah. Queen's Longbow, I think it was called. Or something like Queen's...
Something like that. Someone
in the comments will tell us.
Let me know on Twitter. Whatever the fuck. Anyway. But yeah, that was my very first exotic. I didn't really like it that much because I had guns I preferred using, but it was still really cool to be like, this is an exotic that I got. And that's why I kept playing Prison of Elders. And it's why I love Prison of Elders so much, because that's where I got my first exotic ever. Like, it was amazing.
Right. But to add to the gameplay elements, though, right? Because we're going into like world and stuff as well.
Mm.
Good class system is something that every MMO needs, and I think even though how simple Destiny 1's and Destiny just in general is, I think it was done so well. I even think Destiny 1's class system is better than Destiny 2's, even though the variance isn't very obvious.
Mm.
And the variance is when you look at your subclasses, you used to be able to choose certain things that increased your resilience, increased your recovery, etc., etc., etc. You can't do that anymore. You have a set tree that has 4 things in it, and it's like, oh, okay, well, I guess, it was simplicity. It definitely added simplicity to their already simple system. So it kind of made sense why they went for the it kind of made sense why they went for the simple side of it. I personally dislike that though. I would rather the original system, and I think the way they did it though, where you had you started off Destiny with for example, in Destiny 1, as a hunter, you had the subclasses of either gunslinger or arcbird. That was it. That's all you had to start off with. As a titan, you had void and striker. I can't remember what the void one is. I can't remember the name. And then you had with Warlock, you had the void and you had solar. So each one only had 2, which was something that I always disliked, which they fixed in Taken King. And it needed that, like, it never made sense to me that you were restricted from certain elemental subclasses just because you were X class. To be fair, Destiny 1, if you were a hunter, you just weren't using anything other than Arcblade. It made no sense, but that's not the point.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, and I remember it was so good. It was so well set up, and I just loved it. I just loved it. Destiny 1 class
Destiny
system
1's
was
classes,
well done.
and by extension, Destiny 2's classes, because obviously the same fucking thing. I've never seen such clear animosity from one class versus another, and I fucking love it. I love the war between like Titans, Warlocks, and Hunters. It's amazing because it feels so right for this game to have that kind of thing between the players. It's amazing.
The best thing about it is there's not even a player thing. And it sounds dumb. You talk to characters. For example,
yes,
Eris Morn. I pointed this out to Sam not even last night. We were talking to Eris Morn, and when he's standing next to her, she's talking about random shit, as all characters do. But she says, hunters like you and I do not want to sit inside like a Titan. And do you know what? Yes, as a hunter, the reason I picked it is because I'm a fast player. I W key through fucking everything. I love it. The only time I'm ever stopping to kill things is when I need my XP for my season pass and or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. That's when I'm stopping. Otherwise, I am running through. Titans don't run through. Warlocks don't run through. That's not their setup. That's not how they play. They walk through. They fuck shit up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's Hunter, then Warlock, then Titan for just W key. That's how it is. Technically, it's Warlock because they can fucking glide, and what they can do is they can wave dash, so they fucking fly ahead of you, which is annoying, but that isn't what they were designed to do.
Yeah, but it's still really cool though.
But that's the other thing, right? When you're in a boss fight, when you're in the raid, when they added Vault of Glass, it wasn't impossible to do it all Hunters. It wasn't impossible to do it all Warlocks. It wasn't impossible to do it all Titans. It was just harder. And I think that is great. The fact that it wants you to get a like a Weapons of Light in the dome. Do you know what I mean? Or to get a whatever, like a Suns. I can't remember the name of them. Honestly, I don't play Titan and stuff enough. I can tell you what, like you can use your Night Stalker. You can use your Warlock to give you a healing rift in Destiny 2 and stuff. And it works all well together, and it's great. Do you know what I mean? Especially if you get 2 Warlocks, put a healing rift and an empowering rift down, as well as Weapons of Light, as well as a Night Stalker, and then maybe even a hammer bloke to use a sunspot on it, you get maximum DPS.
Mm-hmm.
And
it goes without saying, right? They're all really important to it. Like, the best fire team is one of each, right? Like, by far. But also, I love how the fact is, like, you can have a team that's entirely hunters, or titans, or warlocks, because the game can support that. It might be harder or easier depending on what you're doing, but, like, I love that it can support that. I was always a warlock in Destiny 1, because I love mage classes like that. But the best part was that I was never like really missing out on the Titan or the Hunter experience, because overall, like, Destiny is the same. No matter what class you pick, Destiny is kind of the same experience. You just kind of go about it in different ways. And I just love what the Warlock offered in that game. I never actually played Hunter or Titan, apart from the beta. I never went back to play those two characters, which I kind of regret not doing Hunter, because apparently Hunter was fucking amazing at Destiny 1. But
Hunter is the best class. Anyway, I just want to add to it, gameplay-wise. This is kind of gameplay and story-wise, because I mentioned I was going to move on to it after, because I hinted at them earlier. But in the story, obviously, as he said, you always wanted to know more. There was always great content, but it was just really badly presented. Grimoire Cards were the epitome of that, right?
Yeah.
And this was a gameplay mechanic. And the reason I'll say this is because your Grimoire score in Destiny 1 was quite literally how you determined how scary someone was to come up against in Trials of Osiris. Like, I don't know how else to explain it. When you saw someone with 3,000 plus Grimoire score, you were like, well, fuck. Because most of your Grimoire comes from Crucible.
Yeah.
And honestly, I was one of those 3,000. But when I saw another 3,000, I was like, well, shit, this is going to be a harder battle. Because it just
equals.
Yeah, exactly. But Grimoire Cards, I loved the idea of them. I think implementing them outside of the game, though, was the biggest fuck up of all of Destiny.
Yeah.
Now, there was people like me. I'm not going to lie. There were people like me. And I went and read them all. I'm not going to lie. I did. I was that guy. I love lore. It is like my driving force for everything. You look at Mass Effect. A massive thing for me in Mass Effect's episode was the Codex and Journal. Fallout, the massive thing for me was the terminals and stuff that you could just go and read things about.
Yeah.
It is a thing for me. It's like in Fallout, I love the fact, for example, in a way that Grimoire is now, like they've done it now, you could go to a thing in Germantown in Fallout 3 on in the police HQ, there was a terminal. In that terminal, it literally describes the founding of the Brotherhood of Steel from an army division outside of DC after they see the bombs fall. That kind of thing to find in a game, to me, is amazing. If the Grimoire Cards were in the game and did that kind of thing, the gameplay element of the storytelling would have been much more accessible, therefore not being so awfully presented. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because the thing is, to this day, they still do Grimoire Cards effectively, but they put them in your game, in your triumphs, under lore.
I think the idea of the Grimoire Cards were kind of interesting, because like back when Destiny 1 came out, there was this whole integration with, like, you know, mobile devices and games and, you know, like companion apps and all that crap, right? It's pretty much gone now, as far as I know.
I don't know, man. I love using my Destiny companion app. It's great. I'm in a Crucible match.
App.
I'm losing. Fucking give me this gun.
My thing was like, I think the Grimoire card system was abysmal. It didn't help anyone. It was just an extra unnecessary step to just find out information about your game, right? But I like the idea that they were going for.
I think in any MMORPG or any RPG ever, you have to have lore elements being given to you from a different source. It can't just be all story written, because otherwise your story would never end.
Mm-hmm.
Because ultimately, you can't teach an entire game's worth of lore in a story. It's impossible.
Especially
you have to choose
Destiny.
a part of it, especially Destiny.
Destiny is a huge
Destiny.
game. If for people who like casually play Destiny, like I did for the most part, I had no idea the scope of the lore. And I put about 100 hours into Destiny 1 at this point. So I wasn't like a newbie. Like, I played Destiny 1 of thousands of hours. But anyway, I did not know the scope of the universe until I started looking for like 3-hour-long videos.
It's not even just that, right? I remember the first time that Sam and I spoke about Destiny. It was actually probably what made us the friends we are today, honestly, because it was the first game that we started playing together. It was the first game we started playing together because I was always looking for people to play Destiny with. Sam, I was talking about Destiny. Our mutual friend, Chili Farmer, or Jack, he doesn't like it. So we were having a conversation about how I like it, Jack doesn't like it. And then Sam came in and was like, bro, you don't like Destiny? And
bro, you don't Destiny, bro?
Yeah, we kind of ganged up on him a little bit, to be fair. But then we had like a full-on vibing moment. Then we played Destiny. Like, it was great.
It was like, I was a solo player. I never had anyone play Destiny with. Like, no one I knew played Destiny. So it was amazing.
I was the same. But this is the thing, right? I was the same. I had to resort to LFG websites, all of this during Destiny 1 to do all the raids and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah. Destiny is so expansive, and I don't think Sam realized how expansive it was until he started playing with me. And I was like, oh yeah, if you look at this thing, it's this. And if you look at this thing, it's this. And he was like, what?
There is so much detail crammed into Destiny. There are so many little things that you just won't know unless you know the lore. And I love that. I think that is incredible. I think that is amazing. It's a great use of the worlds. My main problem is that Destiny has such a hard time relaying any of that information to you in an interesting and quick way. It's gonna take you hours to sift through everything, which obviously pros and cons, whatever how you feel about that. I wish there was a just streamlined, just codex system like Mass Effect has. Where you be like, what's this mean? 2 paragraphs? Oh, okay, cool. You know what I mean?
Well, the thing is, Destiny 2 has started to do that now. There's still a lot of it outside of Destiny 2 because a lot of it is still known from Destiny 1.
Yeah.
And ultimately, and this is something I'm kind of low-key annoyed about, you can't access your Grimoire cards anymore. They're gone. So all that lore that was written down in those Grimoire cards is somewhere in the world and stuff now, but it's gone.
A wiki somewhere.
Yeah. But like, it wasn't that directly accessible as it was before. Something that Destiny 2 does, though, in terms of... Okay, you know what? Before we get on to... We need to finish Destiny 1. We're going on for a while now. So, worlds. You touched on worlds there. The worlds are amazing. And in Destiny 1, the biggest things to look at was the way that you navigated these worlds, especially in comparison to Destiny 2. They are completely different.
Yeah.
Because if you have only come to Destiny from Destiny 2, you never really played Destiny 1. There was 2 things in Destiny 1 that you did. You did missions and you did patrol. Now, what you know as a Destiny 2 player is patrol. You go land on the planet, you go and do shit. That is patrol. That was what it was considered. When Destiny 2 was marketed, it was literally everything is now patrol. And it's like, oh, okay. So someone that didn't actually know what patrol meant, it made no fucking sense.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But you only went into patrol when A, you were grinding, B, there were specific story things you had to do in patrol. Very rarely, though, especially in the beginning. A lot of the time, you did it just to get your level up to do the next mission. And then B, it was just to find stuff. So there was dead ghost shells to search for. There was this to search for, this to search for. You went into patrol for those reasons. There was obviously public events, etc., all the things you see now in Destiny 2. There weren't adventures. There were not adventures. There were not lost sectors. The worlds were just beautiful and great to play in. They didn't have enough substance, though. And that is something that Destiny 1, just in general, to start off with, lacked, was that substance
100%,
element.
100%. I agree with that.
To be fair to Destiny, in the original, now this is something that Sam and I disagree on. Taken King pretty much fixed all that from my perspective. So when I played Taken King, there were little crevices you can go into, little holes to go and explore. There was this, that, and the other to go and do. I didn't get that in Destiny, in the original Destiny 1. There weren't chests in this weird room that set you on fire to go and explore. Do you know what I mean? That was a Taken King thing. You know, you have the Court of Oryx and stuff. That was a new thing. And all these things came in Rise of Iron and stuff after.
Yeah.
However, the worlds were amazing to explore nonetheless. And that is what I think is forever going to be a key feature of Destiny, there was nothing about the worlds, but you still wanted to explore them.
Mm.
Like, they were expansive and beautiful to look at. You were going through this cosmodrome, you were going through this Ishtar Academy with floating fucking islands, and you're going through Mars with these sand dunes and these laboratories and all this, and these Vex structures there, and then you were going to the reef and just seeing all these things tied together. Do you know what I mean? You go into the Dreadnought, you were exploring this massive fuck-off ship. Do you know what I mean? You had all of these places. You had the moon where all these crevices were coming out and up, and you saw these things crawling out of holes. And all of it was amazing, and you wanted to know more. And it was something that Destiny 1 did so
It's the
well.
thing where it's like you have all these beautiful, fucking amazing things, right? It was so hard to just find out about these things in the game, and even outside of the game. It's so hard to just find out basic information about a lot of these things. You know? Especially in-depth lore. Like,
yeah, so this is the thing, right? You could explore all this, but even some of the places you want to explore and like were hard to find. For example, I don't know how many people know this, but nigh on every single Destiny 1 map is a big circle. It is quite literally a circle. Like, Destiny 2 does it, but Destiny 2 has these like things that spring off and areas that it don't really connect to. You have to go to separately. Destiny 1 was this area goes to this area, 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 and then back to spawn.
Yeah.
There was the occasional building off or this here and this there, but it was ultimately always a way to go from that area back to where you were. There wasn't the same way. Destiny 2 changed it up. And the thing was, but a lot of people didn't actually know that about Destiny 1 because there was never really maps to show it. You kind of had to find it out, and that was one of those things you explored to find out. And I went around so many planets. You could do it on Venus, you could do it on Mars, you could do it on all of them. It never was very obvious sometimes because you had to go a certain way to do it, but it was there. Other than that, I think Destiny 1, the only thing it did it better than, it had more places to go to than Destiny 2 at the minute. That's obviously changing with the new update. To be fair to Destiny 2, it is earlier in its life cycle than Destiny 1 is at the end. So, you know, the diversity side of it maybe is an unfair tag to put on it right now, which we'll obviously move into in a minute. But outside of that, I think to move away from the worlds and everything, we have some very few things to look at outside of it all that we put in a miscellaneous thing. In the original one, there was a voice protagonist throughout the main story.
Voice protagonist was awesome. It was so good. It was so good. Take a seat, Aaron. Voice protagonist in Destiny 1 was so it was so good. All right, so I want to point out every single character's voice. You had 6 voices. You had one for the EXO, one male, one female, blah blah blah. Everything, right? 6 voices, right? They were all amazing, right? They were all great. Amazing voices. They were all so fucking cool. And it made all of the cutscenes so much better. The cutscenes themselves weren't that great. They were pretty boring. Nothing much happened. But still, when your character spoke, it sent chills down my spine. I don't know why. It was just cool. It was like the whole Commander Shepard, like, oh my god, my character's speaking moment. Okay? It was amazing. Taken King decides, you know what? We're not going to do that. And then Destiny 2 follows it, blah, 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 until Forsaken, there was no more voice protagonist. And that broke my heart. Because I loved the voice protagonist in Destiny 1. And I don't know why. The thing is, though,
there's about 10 lines.
Exactly. But they're all so cool. It sounds cool. Like the EXO voice, the male EXO voice, was basically Master Chief. It was basically Master Chief's voice. It wasn't the same dude, but it was pretty much the same thing. It was so cool. It was so cool. It was so good. I loved it.
To be fair, I can't say that I didn't like the voice protagonist. I think it's a nice addition. And I think Destiny 2 now has added it back. But they brought it back in the best way physically possible.
Yep.
With him going, effectively, Aldrin dies. Because Cade's just been murdered.
He literally says, right, after probably, if you're the kind of player, thousands of hours, right, your character saying fuck all, okay, This character is dead. Okay? Talk about that later on. But this character is dead. And your character says, I'm gonna take out that son of a bitch. And it's just like, alright, we're back.
Because I think the back line is, and it's not much, but he literally just turns, gives the camera like a sinister glare and goes, Aldrin's mine, and just walks off.
He says Aldrin's sort of his mine, right? But your character is just in the back the entire time, right? Like any other Destiny 2 cutscene, he says fuck all, nothing's happening. And then he just comes out, right? With a line.
He steps forward and,
that isn't that cool. It's not that cool of a line, but it's still a line. And it's amazing.
But yeah, like they could have probably have added some like fancier way of saying it that made it like this ultra cool thing. But I honestly think the simplicity of your character finally talking again in Destiny 2 with the line of just watching Cade, your friend die, especially if you're a hunter, he's meant to literally be your idol. He is the Vanguard hunter. You are supposed to look to him for help. Your effectively best friend has just been murdered, and you step forward with a sinister glare, deadpanning the camera, going, Aldrin is mine. And you're like, and it sends shivers down your spine, and you go, fucking totally right, he's mine. I'm murdering him.
And if you were an Exo or an Awoken with like red eyes, it was amazing. Because the scene's like dark and shit. It's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah. Anyway, Destiny 1. Is there any final points on this before we move on?
I think I want to say, so OST was something I mentioned in the Mass Effect games.
Mm-hmm.
So soundtrack. OST, I think, was good in Destiny 1. It was okay. It wasn't amazing. It wasn't the best. It was 100% topped by Destiny 2.
Yes.
No doubt about that. Destiny 2, especially that opening maybe 3 or 4 missions where you lose your light, you do this, and the other. It is the best synchronized, like, not just that, right? The actual just synchronization of the OSTs in Destiny 2 was amazing.
Like, Destiny 1. Destiny 1 OST. Stick to the Destiny. We'll talk about Destiny 2's OST in a minute.
Destiny 1's OST did its job. It set the scene. It put you where you wanted to be, but it wasn't stand out. I don't remember a time when I was really like, holy shit, this OST. Destiny 2, as I was about to even go on about it there are places that I'm like, holy shit, this, and it sticks with you in Destiny 2. It doesn't do that in Destiny 1 for me.
Destiny 1 built a very unique sound. It has a very unique sound in the soundtrack. It's very kind of melancholy sci-fi orchestra kind of deal, right? It feels very weird for a sci-fi thing. It just feels kind of abstract. It's really hard to
be fair, a lot of the time, I think with sci-fi, you tend to get these EDM vibes and stuff.
Yeah,
like you use electronic and stuff. Bungie decided and opted to go full classical for their soundtrack. Not all classical. Obviously, there is
it's more symphonic,
the electronic, And I think that it weirdly fits better than I think if you put an electronic one there.
100%.
Personally speaking.
I think, but there were even tracks in Destiny 1 that were a bit more rock, electronic of led. And I think that kind of contrast there works really well because a lot of the tracks in Destiny 1 were kind of elegant in a way. They were kind of
well, it's like when you had a lot of hyped areas, like when you were landing on the Dreadnought and stuff, you had that bit of guitar play and these things happening. Whereas when you were just chilling in a planet, it was just mellow. It was like, bro, come chill out.
Yeah.
Have a blunt. Do you know what I mean? But like that was the vibe it gave. It always knew when to turn it on and when to turn it off.
Exactly.
And I think that is what makes the OST great in all of the Destinies. I think the actual song development and stuff in Destiny 1 makes the OST a bit downgraded because it was nowhere near. And I think my opinion on it and the reason why I think it's just okay instead of good is because of Destiny 2. I think it's because I think Destiny 2, which is a game I have less hours in, but I remember the OST so well, whereas I don't remember the Destiny 1 OST nearly as much. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's what it is. However,
to move on.
Yeah.
Destiny 2, right? Here's my thing. Destiny 2 doesn't feel like a sequel. Destiny 2 has never felt like a sequel to me. And here's the thing. It feels like a continuation. A lot of sequels feel pretty different to the first game. Destiny 2, for the most part, feels pretty much identical to Destiny 1. With many improvements. Many,
I thought,
many
I'm not
improvements.
gonna lie, when you said it didn't feel like a sequel, I was like, where the fuck's he going with it? But no, yeah, no, I totally agree.
It
I
feels
totally agree.
like it feels like Destiny 1 but evolved, right? But it doesn't feel like a sequel. It just feels like a continuation. And I know that's literally what a sequel is, right? But some sequels in games just feel so different. But Destiny 1 and 2 feel harmonious, right? You can go from 1 to 2 and you can just get right back into it. And I think that's what makes Destiny 2 so good to me, is that it is just Destiny 1, but in a lot of ways, objectively better.
Yeah.
Just straight up.
Yeah. To start off with Destiny 2, we've got to do a big comparison between the main campaign of Destiny 2 and the main campaign of Destiny 1.
Mm-hmm.
To start off with, and I've literally put this in caps in our in our thing, there were cutscenes.
Yes.
Now, whether you thought they were great cutscenes or you thought they were bad cutscenes, they were objectively better cutscenes than anything we had in Destiny 1.
And to be fair, one did have cutscenes, but 2's was just far better directed.
I actually felt like they were cutscenes, though they were actually giving you something, whereas the Destiny 1 cutscenes were kind of just filler.
Except they didn't have voice protagonist, which, you know.
Yeah. However, we got to look at the main antagonist of these two games. So the main antagonist of the other one was an inane object called the Black Garden, effectively.
It was a location.
Yeah, it was quite literally a location. So you killed the heart of the Black Garden in the first one. This one, the beginning of the game starts with a spine-tingling, like, cutscene. I don't know how to explain it. You're watching from the tower. You're watching Zavala and Cade and Ikora trying to figure out what the fuck is going on because they've lost connection to their satellites. They've lost connection to this, that, and the other. And then you see Zavala turn to look out the window, which is obviously a dramatic turn to look out the window, right time and all that. And then he sees the Cabal ships.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, fuck. We're under attack. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this, by the way, is the biggest switcheroo ever because in all of Destiny 1, you're never under threat of being attacked by the Cabal.
Yeah.
You're only under a threat of being attacked by the Fallen. That's what's in your head. The Fallen are the immediate threat, and that's why when you're going after the Black Guard and everything, the Vanguard are a bit like, why? Do you know what I mean? Like, what? Why? The Fallen are a bigger threat.
What's going on when you go into a garden for? You know what's going on?
Yeah.
Here? Like...
But like, and to add to this, right? The cool thing is, this is something obviously you have to deep dig into the lore for. The reason why we never know the Cabal are coming is because the Nine, the entity that you now know as the one that helps us, because they hated the Guardian so much for living forever, because the Nine effectively require us to live. Right? They require our light and our life to live. That is how it works, apparently. We've never really had it explained
Destiny
fully.
law.
Yeah. And because Gaul's plan was to take away our light, the Nine wanted to see how that would work so they could do it themselves. So they hid the Cabal fleet, this enormous Cabal fleet, which makes you think, how fucking powerful are the Nine? A. But B, they hid the fleet until they got to the planet. They got to the last city, and they fucked shit up.
Yeah,
they fucked shit up.
Yeah.
Like, you can still see the damage on the tower to this day from the explosions and stuff.
Yeah. And here's one thing I want to quickly... I said before, nothing has consequence in Destiny. Well, Destiny 2's intro does. It has consequence. The entire original tower in Destiny 1 gets fucking obliterated. Everything you know there is gone. All kind of normalcy from Destiny 1 is gone. And that's really, really cool. And I think especially for someone like me who, back then, I played Destiny 1, right? And then went back to Destiny 2, and I could see how that change actually feels. Like, straight afterwards. And it's really cool. It's really cool.
Yeah, and like, to add to that, like, I think, and this is just the beginning of this story, right? And we have so much to talk about it. Whereas the last one, you literally started by getting reborn and getting a gun, and this one, it taught you in a Hail Mary. Like, there was two ways to look at it, right? So you were a Guardian coming into this game, and this is the only thing I disliked about the start of the game. Unless you were a Destiny 1 player, it was not the start of the game did not feel compatible for a brand new player.
Yeah.
And we've gone over this before. They fixed that when they came and they did the whole new light thing and everything.
Yeah.
After Shadowkeep. But before that, you started pardon me. You started the game. And you were already a Guardian. It was a bit like, huh? What? Why? What? Huh?
It's jarring for new players.
Yeah. And so like you come in and I will say it was spine tingling to me, especially coming into this game. Doing that first mission where you're coming towards the lost city, you're not got any communications. Communications are down. No one's replying to you. But there's a big storm. So you think it must be the storm. You fly in to literally see the city on fire.
Well, it's like this is the thing of like how it doesn't feel like a sequel, right? Because this starts off like a Destiny 1 mission, right? You just kind of
you're literally flying into it.
You're just going back to the tower. What do you do? But oh my god, the tower's not there anymore. It's all on fire. It's like Jesus. Okay. Well,
yeah, and then you landed in like the ship bay, whatever, and you have to fight your way through these Cabal. You then finally get contact with Ikora, Zavala, and Cade. You have Cade doing his fucking fancy "I'm shooting fucking people" thing.
It was so cool actually seeing each of them do something too.
Yeah, and like when the speaker gets taken and you see Ikora go full rage mode and fucking blow a ship out of the air with a Nova Bomb, you're like, holy! You're not seeing Ikora do anything.
You see Cade use golden gun, you see Zavala, you actually have to fight with Zavala.
Yeah, you fight with Zavala, and you see it in the first cutscene where he saves everyone in the main tower from the missiles by getting his bubble up.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And this was fucking cool, because in Destiny 1, at the tower, these were just static NPCs. They didn't do anything in the tower. Like,
no.
They didn't do anything.
And this is where you already see that evolution in the game, though, right? Mm-hmm. So you see this evolution coming in from Destiny 1. They already are doing something new. There's something different and something to love about this game. From the get-go. You then fight your way to meet this guy called Gaul, the leader of the Cabal and the Red Legion.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it is literally stated by Ikora, the Red Legion are known and that to never have known a loss. So you're coming in, and the only thing I hate about this is you as a lone Guardian effectively give a Legion a big fat L. Do you know what I mean? I low-key dislike that because I feel like it's too easy that one Guardian with light can take out an entire Legion.
Are you talking about the end of the story or in the beginning?
In the beginning. Like, okay. You're already giving up a big fat L to start off with. You're just fucking cleaning through. All these other Guardians are also just cleaning through. The only people really dying at the beginning of that game is the non-Guardians.
Well, I mean, like, to be fair, this is me asking the lore questions here. Lore time with Aaron, I guess. Have they ever actually fought Guardians before?
The Red Legion?
Yeah.
No.
Well, there you go then.
No, I know,
but
the thing
loss
is...
and all that.
Yeah, no, I know, but the thing is, they've supposedly conquered entire like galaxies, but they can't take out one planet with a couple of 100 Guardians.
I think my thing is like I love this opening, right? I love the spectacle.
It's a great opening.
I love when you have to board their ship and go through it and all that. I think the thing that I love about it all so much is that moment when like they take the Traveler, your light's gone. In that cutscene, your light's gone.
But this is the thing. Before we get to that, the way you fight through, and you see all these new Cabal ships and all this new fandangled Cabal shit, right? They've already added new stuff. You get picked up by Amanda Holiday, another static character that's now fucking flying around, shooting people left, right, and center.
We're doing shit, boys. We're doing it.
You get dropped on the command ship, and then you fight through, you do all this work, and then you get to the top, you're escaping, and you're met face to face with the antagonist, Gaul.
Mm-hmm.
This untouchable deity, effectively, in the way that it's portrayed, in all the camera angles, whenever it's you looking at him, it is always bottom up. You're always looking up to him. He is always this massive presence in the room.
Yeah.
and he literally, with the flick of his fingers, takes away your light. And I think the line that he says, "You're not brave, you've merely forgotten the fear of death," is the best ending line before kicking a person off a ship ever. Which I know is a very specific, but like sending someone to their death like that. We know Guardians are hardy people anyway. They're hard fought warriors. They're not just some shitty, and they're like biologically superior without the light. So like, falling from that height and not killing him, it's believable. But just the thought and the seeing of the Traveler being trapped and seeing Gaul with this almighty power.
All right.
and it sets the precedence for the game.
It's the spectacle.
It's something that you never got in Destiny 1. That whole opening had more substance to it than the entire Destiny 1 start ever.
I just want to say,
go with that.
I'm sorry for the uncut people, because this is going to be a long fucking episode.
Oh yeah, 100%. And to go along with that, the OST, as I was mentioning about the Destiny 1, it matches up perfectly. Like, I remember there was like a deep bass that came on in the soundtrack when you see the light getting taken from you, and you get this, that, and the other. You then get up, and there's a song called Lost Light. And it's what it's called, so if you want to listen to it, it's great. And it is so soft, but menacing as you're walking through. And something Destiny 2's intro and everything did perfectly is as you're walking through this game, the soundtrack matched up to what was happening perfectly. Even if you waited around a little bit, which is what made me like, ooh. Do you know what I mean?
I don't think the campaign doesn't get any better than this. Like, legitimately, I think it's all downhill from here. Apart from the last mission, I don't think the rest of the campaign's any good at all in comparison to this.
I wouldn't say it goes completely downhill. I think it's just plateaued at the first part, and then when it ships, and then when you do the EDZ and start off the EDZ, I think it's still just as good. And then when it instantly ships you off to Titan, you're a bit like, oh well, that was a bit whack, wasn't it?
Yeah, but
you know what I mean?
My thing is, like, because the first hour of the main game is so good, especially if you play Destiny 1, the rest of the campaign can't really keep up, because it's not long past that until you get your light back, until you kick an ass again.
It's the next mission.
It's
literally the next mission.
Exactly. Like, the consequence of not having your the developers, they can't let you go without light for too long, because they haven't built the game for that.
No.
Like, you have to have your light straight away, because that's how Destiny works. Yeah. But like, it kind of takes away a lot of those moments.
One thing I will say is that while we have our light quite quickly, the showing of like the presence of and seeing the sheer bravery and stuff of your fellow Guardians without light, though, is just like, bro.
But my thing is, like,
that's cool.
But the problem is that they don't really do anything with that.
Because they don't do enough. They don't do enough.
They don't actually show that any of the other characters are really. They say they're mortal now, but like, imagine if Cade died during the campaign, when he was still mortal. Imagine like shit like that, like just like an actual death happening because they don't have their light anymore. But like, the problem is no moments like that ever actually happen.
I think the most surreal part you get like that is when, and I think this is where you come down to the final mission. I think, however, one thing I will say is something that they did well was the fact that it made every single one, except for Cade, because Cade is just like out there. But Zavala and Ikora fully started contemplating life and being like, well, am I even a Guardian now? Am I even like this, that, the other? Do you know what I mean? Even though they were biologically just better, so they were still better warriors.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They were like, but that like thought process is something that would happen to everyone. Imagine you have been living for centuries, and as you have to remember, they've been living for centuries with this light, this guiding.
It's all they know.
Yeah, it's all they know. And then all of a sudden it's taken away from them. imagine the psychological effects. And I think they actually show that quite well in how Zavala is like completely lost. You get to Titan, he's like, mate, just fuck off, we're done.
Well, it's like, I think it's an interesting character thing as well, because like what happens is like Zavala in the first game, like they were all pretty simple characters, but I think in the second game they've all become a lot more interesting because Zavala now is very much dedicated to just protecting the city. You know, Ikora's a lot more focused on like if something's about to happen, she's gonna do something about it. You know what I mean? Like the characters
I think as the game goes on as well, in the story wise, including the DLCs, you start seeing that more and more.
Mm-hmm.
So it starts off with Ikora still being a bit tepid. Then when Osiris returns, she's like, let's go and fucking do something. Then the wars, then with Rasputin and Zol, she's even more like, let's go and do something. Then Forsaken, when Kate dies, she's like, we're fucking going there and killing him.
Yeah.
Like,
and you can feel that's because she knows what it's like to not have light now. And since she has it again, she's gonna do something with it.
yeah.
You know? Like, and
whereas Zavala, but this is also a great way
Mm.
to show the difference between classes.
Yes.
And as I was saying in Destiny 1, I'm a hunter, I W key. Cade was W keying. That's why he died. That is how Warlocks are a lot more calculated, but they still fucking go in.
Mm.
And that is what Ikora wants to do now. But Titans want to sit back and defend. And that is why you see Zavala is all about the city. His literal spot in the game now is overlooking the city as its protector.
Well, it's
and you
also
see
like,
him looking at it and being like,
I love the kind of, because in like, you know, if this was a regular RPG, you kind of have the thing of like, you know, mages are the ones that are kind of like, you know, contemplative, they stay behind, they think about things, and Titans would be the kind of brash character that goes in without thinking, kills everything in the room and leaves. But they kind of did the flip here, where like Ikora's the one that wants revenge, and then Zavala would be the one that wants to think about things and just kind of chill out for a bit. You know?
But that's the thing, right? Talking about this is something we didn't even touch on in Destiny 1. The naming schemes and how they switch everything around. When you think about it, you expect a bad mage, etc., to be called a witch or something like that. Yeah, do you know what I mean? They're sorcerers. That's the kind of wording you use for it. But your enemy's called a wizard. Your enemy's called a knight. Do you know what I mean? And like you have all these terms for all these people. Do you know what I mean? That are actually relatively good. And it makes you think, well, are we the bad guys then? Or are they the good guys?
That's a big brain theory.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's such a swapped way around. But now that we're getting to like the new stuff and the way the darkness is thinking and what we hear from Eris in the very first week of the season of Arrivals, I want to add, right? Eris has already said the way that the darkness looks upon the light is with shielding. They're trying to shield themselves from it because they see it as an enemy. They see it as a force of reckoning. And then it makes you think, well, are we that acolyte equivalent? Well, obviously not, we're way more powerful, but like maybe we're Crota's equivalent. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We are literal gods. That's what you have to remember as a god. You are a literal god.
Like a demigod just walking around. Like
Yeah. And so when you're fighting these hordes of enemies, and that's why it kind of makes sense you can kill billions of enemies. Do you know what I mean? Imagine Zeus's son or something came down. He's going to fuck people up. Look at Hercules. Do you know what I mean? Like, what? And like, you see all these things, and it's amazing. And this game definitely addresses that and makes you feel more like a god than you ever were before. I think the naming side of things was good. However, before we skip the main story, I think the antagonists in this and the cutscenes they added for goal were well done. So from my perspective, and the reason is, and I told you when I wrote this down in the notes, I've literally written Aaron's opinion after this note.
I'm not gonna go
on. My reason is because they start off the game, right? They start off the game showing Gol off to be this untouchable character. He literally goes, "I am Gol, conqueror of worlds." Like, do you know what I mean? And you're like, holy shit, this guy is a big deal. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I've killed a hive god, but he was never presented like Gol. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was never presented like Gol. Pardon me. You see him, and he's untouchable. And then the cutscenes, you are out in the world regaining your ability, regaining your light. You're doing all this because ultimately you don't get your full abilities back straight away. All you get is your super, and that is it. That's what you have to remember. When you first get your life back, you only have your super. And this is something I think some people forget. You only have your super, which obviously is a massive force and it is very powerful.
Yeah.
But realistically, other than that and your ghost's ability to heal you and regen you, that is all you have. You have to work through the campaign to get to a point where you are powerful enough to then fight Gaul. And you know, you've got to select which way you decide to focus your light and stuff. And I think that's why the class system works in Destiny 2. Because I think if you went with the Destiny 1's class system, that rebuilding of your light, your ability, wouldn't have worked. However, so during this time where you are building up your ability to be a guardian again, you're getting given effectively monologues from Gaul talking to the speaker. I just want to say the fucking sass on the speaker was amazing. But
yeah, out of nowhere too. Like, all right,
yeah,
like chill out.
You really speak to the speaker in the first, and then the speaker's there just with all this sass, being like,
he's about to die any minute, and he's just like, oi,
like, tell me, speaker, how do I get the light? Well, you got to be brave, etc. And then self-sacrifice. So go ahead, kill yourself. It's like, whoa!
It's like, whoa, jeez. Whoa, chill out.
I think the line is like, do us a favor and kill yourself or something. It's like,
the Traveler was like, damn.
The Traveler was like, damn, son. But
Jesus.
But he is pointed out to be this unstoppable force, this untouchable person at the start. And I think the way that they do the monologues and stuff endears that, and it makes him that untouchable character. And then when you finally meet him, that's when, for the final battle, that is when he is no longer untouchable. He is no longer safe. Do you know what I mean? He has now killed his second in command. He's done this. He's done that. Well, no, to be fair, I understand it because the Gaul didn't want to just take the light. He wanted to actually be bestowed it. And so I kind of understand that a bit. And this was a nice, like, back and forth. We are known to only have the good guys have the light. Yet, we have a enemy character trying to get it the right way. And you're like, it suddenly kind of makes you question it.
The right way. I don't think killing his, like, best friend is the right way. But, like...
No, but you know what I mean. Like, he's
following the rules to get to it.
Yeah, he wants to be bestowed it by the Traveler. He wants to become a good guy. Effectively is what he's doing, right?
Right, okay.
Because that's the way. Obviously, there are plenty of characters that have gone to the darkness which are guardians. Do you know what I mean? So obviously it doesn't mean, but in the terms of light and dark, do you know what I mean? He would then become a good guy. So
here's my thing.
It's kind of weird.
Here's my thing. I do not like the way they did Gaul in this. I don't know. I don't think that's a hot take. But my thing is,
I don't even know if it's a hot take. I honestly don't know.
No one really gives a shit. But who at this point, who cares? But like, the reason I don't like Gaul is I love him in the first mission and the last mission because his presence is amazing. His final boss is amazing. He's using the light. Like, it's like you're fighting a boss who's using the light. That's fucking badass, right? But the problem is that the rest of the campaign, he feels so disconnected. Like, he's just giving these monologues. And I'm just wondering, like, why are we listening to this? Like, I don't feel like I'm a part of this conflict at all. I just want to do stuff with my character. If Gaul actually came to the worlds, imagine this, right? Imagine if on every planet, it ends with a boss fight with Gaul, right? Who's fucking powerful, and you barely scrape by every time, right? And you never actually win until you get to the final boss, and then you actually have, you get an idea of his moveset. You know what he's going to do, but this time he has the power of the light, and his entire moveset changes. Like, that entire boss fight would have been 10 times better, and that's already a cool fight.
Thing is, stuff like that is something I definitely think is an improvement. I don't think Gaul's perfect. I think far from
fuck.
that.
Anyone who thinks that is insane.
Yeah, I just think the way that they went about it worked.
Yeah.
I think the way that they did it was well because they set him up to be untouchable, because they set him up to do this. And that is why, by adding him doing this, and it also puts that moral conflict in your brain until he just turns flat out fucking evil at the end. When he does kill his second in command, he kills the fucking speaker. He then goes, "Fuck it, I'm taking the light." Do you know what I mean? He does all this stuff.
It sets up the question that the Traveler isn't mutually good or bad.
Yeah.
Like, the light is a tool, just like the darkness is a tool, blah, 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 blah. The story, like, brings up interesting questions. And we've been talking about the story in Destiny 2 now for about half an hour.
Okay.
Like, that's how much more interesting the story is in Destiny 2.
Yeah.
And as its expansions.
To be fair, I don't want to, like, hurry the story along. But there's two defining points we have left. So I'm going to just move on to those because we've already discussed the goal and the main story a bit.
Yeah.
But like one of those points are about the main story, but it is the spin of everyone losing their light. It was a refreshing take, right? It just was. And
it wasn't committed to, but it was a refreshing take.
Yeah. And like, as I said, like in our notes, I literally said, wish we were without it for longer. So, you know, wherever. But, and this is something, I'm not sure many of you out there would have played the Halo series, and let alone the Halo 3 ODST game. But I feel the taking of the light and everything is very Halo 3 ODST-esque. And what I mean by that is in ODST, you are no longer the Master Chief. You are a simple ODST trooper. You're an orbital drop shock trooper. That is what you are. You're just a normal human. You're effectively a Marine from the original games. So you're now human. You're now mortal. Do you know what I'm saying? And they have now done pretty much the exact same thing. You have to change the way you play because you can't just fucking tank everyone. Do you know what I mean? You can't just take these hits. You have to go, right, okay, I have to be much more concerned about my own well-being. And that kind of thing was amazing. And then outside of that, I think the massive, massive issue, which I touched upon already, that I had with the story, is that it hurried you along from planet to planet way too quickly. Yeah. It just wanted you to see all these worlds, which I love about Destiny. I love the world, so I want to see them. But I felt like they needed to add a bit more to the EDZ, to Titan, to this. To be fair, I think Titan is probably single-handedly the one that you do the most on story-wise. Because you have to clear it out and everything to make it a place to be habitable for the Guardians to meet up and go back, do you know what I mean? And learn this, that, and the other. You don't really have to do anything other than that. After you go there, you're only going to Nessus to get Cade back.
Yeah.
You're only going to Io to get Ikora back, which then has the extra thing of the Cabal set up here because of the light. And then you go back to Titan, find out about the Almighty, and then you go and kill the Almighty, and then you go to the farm, and etc. And it just goes on too quickly. There needs to be the EDZ. You need to set up with Soraya Hawthorne. You need to help her do some stuff more. And that's when you hear the communique. That's when you go, right, okay. Because, yeah, you go back and do a bunch of things in the EDZ after you've completed the rest of the planets. But that stuff like that should have happened before and then come back to it after. There's no need to only have one mission, then leave. Because ultimately, the story goes, you lose your light. You have the amazing journey to get to the farm and everything.
Yeah.
And then you do a single mission to get your light back. Well, not your light back, but like a part of your light back. You then do another mission to help her set up a comm relay to tell people to come to the farm from the lost city, right? You then go to Titan. That is it. You're gone. You've done it. You've done the EDZ at the start. And I think that was horrendous. I think that was the worst way they could have done it. But anyway...
It was poorly designed.
Yeah. Let's move on. Let's go on to gameplay. We talked about gameplay in the first game and how the guns were so good, right?
Yes,
so,
surprise, surprise. Still good.
They're good, but better in this game. They've refined it. They refined the gunplay. It just wasn't as weird. It was just better. Everything about it was better. And do you know what? Gameplay-wise, there was no meaningful things to do after you finished the story.
Yeah.
What? Imagine.
That's kind of crazy.
After you finish the main storyline, it's not even actually before you finish the main storyline. This happens while you've got the storyline. You've got A, lost sectors. B, adventures. things that are giving you that tidbit of lore that is easier of access now. It gives you that ease of access. You then finish the main storyline, and after doing a little bit of stuff, each planet's vendor has this massive little quest thing to do for you. You need to do for him to do this, and this, because there's some new threat on that planet that needs helping. Great, love that. It then gives you exotic quests, which were a thing in Destiny 1, but now they were a thing in Destiny 2.
They were a lot more clearer.
They were all clearer and they were more accessible.
And more fun.
Along with this, the UI was better.
Oh, fuck yeah, dude.
The UI has gotten tenfold better. Quests are now easily visible. Bounties are easy to visit. We could go on forever. I'm just going to say it's better. That is a rabbit hole we don't want to go down.
A lot of the things like that are better now, like Destiny 2 has continually evolved. They've constantly changed and improved things, right? The way that they do quests now are a lot better than the way they used to do them. I remember before they were just kind of messy, but now they're completely structured. They're so well laid out. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing to behold.
But that's the thing as well, right? This is the thing to add on to it. It's like before, and this is the thing, like you can press E. So we're playing on PC at the minute because it's just faster, it's better, it's easier. So we can just press E to see all the main story and stuff and requirements we need to do. If there's none there, you go to your quest tab and you see all the exotic quests, you see your legendary quests, your this, that, and the other. It's great. Destiny 1, though, as I mentioned, if you wanted to do a mission, which was effectively doing a quest, you had to click on the navigation map, go to the specific planet. It gave you a little notification on the planet, to be fair to it. It wasn't a very good notification, but there was a notification there.
Yeah.
And then you clicked on it, and then you had to find which mission was that had this notification next to it, and you had to click on that mission. And sometimes it wasn't even notifications. If I remember correctly, in the first Destiny, you only knew that you had to find some of the new missions. Especially when I think Dark Below came out. You quite literally had to find the mission on your screen out of which one it was, because they didn't give you a direct thing. It just told you it was on.
I remember that.
It just told you it was on Earth.
Yeah.
And you had to go and find it. That was it.
Like, it's like, on Earth, have fun.
Yeah.
Go explore.
And that's why I love the way they've done it this one. Now, you go to patrol. You don't have to pick a mission. You go to patrol. Everything is patrol. Everything is patrol. You go to the planet, you always patrol.
Yeah.
You then will track something and say, I want to do this. So it shows up in your HUD and it directs you to where the flag for the start of it is. And if you are on your way, you can kill Fallen, you can kill Cabal, you can kill Vex, you can kill Hive, you can kill this, you can kill that. You can pick up some adventures to do along the way. You can pick up a public event. You can pick up this. And it is so much better.
So much better.
And it was so good.
It's just fun now.
Yeah,
it's just fun to do.
And this ties into like the worlds, right?
Yeah.
Like we've got gameplay and we've got worlds separate, but this is a worlds and gameplay thing. Alongside that, a gameplay mechanic that has been in Destiny 1 was public events. Now, public events were fun to do, and they are still fun to do, but they were a bitch to do in Destiny 1 because you did not know when they were going to spawn. They were purely random. They weren't actually, they were relatively random. So we had a public event tracker that you would have on a screen when you were playing on your Xbox, or you'd have on your phone to see where or when said public event was going to happen. And it was dumb.
It was abysmal.
So dumb.
It was fucking
there was so
stupid.
many things that needed you to do, public events as well, and you were there like, when's it gonna spawn?
The amount of time in Destiny 1 spent aimlessly wandering around the zones was ridiculous. It was fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
Something that they fixed in Destiny 2 tenfold.
Yeah. And so, alongside the things to do outside the story, there was a new weapon system. Now, it doesn't seem that different, but they changed from having primary, special, and heavy, which is why you will find, and you know who Destiny 1 players are, and you know who are Destiny 2 players, because people will say kinetic, energy, and power instead of primary, special, and heavy. so they've changed it, right?
Yeah.
So it's now you can have special weapons in both your primary and your energy slot.
Well, before in Destiny 1, it was like shotguns, sniper rifles, etc. Those were kind
Fusion
of the
rifles, yeah.
those were the special weapons, and they used a different ammo type. And then you had the boring weapons, auto rifles, marksman rifles, scout rifles, pulse rifles, whatever the fuck, like whatever that.
Yeah.
Destiny 2 decides, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna make it so that energy weapons and kinetic weapons can be any gun. As long as they're on a power weapon, they can be anything. So
And
if,
even then,
they
can be power weapons. You can get
Yes.
grenade launchers and things
Yes.
in your special slots.
Exactly. But what they've done is, so now it's like, if you want to two hand cannons, go nuts. If you want to have two shotguns for whatever reason, go nuts. You can have any combination of gun you want, as long as it's a kinetic weapon and an energy weapon.
And it adds diversity. It does.
Yes.
And it makes the game, like we already spoke about how there was an amazing weapon selection in 1. The weapon selection is 100 times better in 2 because you can do whatever the fuck you want to do with it.
Whatever you want.
And alongside that, now, so this didn't start off with the game. There was just a generic armor system. There was effectively just power. And then it was discipline, intellect, and I can't remember the last one. Discipline, intellect, and
Mobility?
no,
Resilience?
no. They weren't a part of it.
I don't remember that.
Anyway, so now you have armor 2.0.
Mm-hmm.
So not only do you have intellect, discipline, and whatever the other one is, you also have to worry about mobility, resilience, and recovery. So originally speaking, all of that was done due to the class you were. It was never really an armor system thing. In Destiny 1, you had better resilience stuff, and Destiny 2, you still have it. It was not quite to the same extent, though. And you couldn't really add to those with mods and stuff to make it more recovery or make it more resilience or make it more mobility. And like, for example, as a hunter, we're fast anyway. I don't necessarily need mobility. Like, there is a thing about putting your mobility max on a hunter because it kind of makes sense if you're trying to speedrun things, etc., etc.
That's what I do.
When I'm playing Crucible, I die too quickly if I have mobility. So I max out resilience and recovery as best as I can. Like, all of my armor pieces have a resilience mod on it. And the Armor 2.0 system adds so much because it lets you already have a customized system that is now even more customizable. With the mod system, with all that, it lets you add so much, and it then lets you look out for like certain armor pieces will have certain roles, and that's the other thing. Before, certain armor pieces used to have specific roles. Now they actually have different roles. You can get a winged contender and another winged contender, and one will be high resilience, one will be high recovery.
Yeah,
it's not always the same.
The whole stat system is pretty complex, but it's very in depth, and I'm a very big fan of it. But I'm not the kind of player that really cares about stats all that much. I kind of just go with whatever I think is like, I'll do that, it's fine, whatever. What I give a shit about is cosmetics. I love looking cool, and in Destiny 1, there was some cool armor sets. There was some cool stuff. Destiny 2 has some amazing armor sets. Has some really, really cool shit. And that makes me very, very happy. It's so cool. Like, I keep getting cool shit. Like in Destiny 1, like I kind of just had the same thing throughout Endgame. Because like I was pretty happy with it. But in Destiny 2, I'm constantly finding cooler shit to wear. It's great. It's amazing. You know? It's amazing. Also, the new shader system that they implemented in this game, where instead of a like armor, you know, you have one shader for all of your armor, go nuts. Destiny 2, they added an individual shader for each armor piece and weapon. And it was great. I loved it. It was amazing.
I'm fairly confident you could do that in Destiny 1.
No, it was only one.
I don't remember that being the case, but
I'm pretty sure.
Fair, I am 90% certain it wasn't. But do you know what?
If I'm wrong, you'll see a message pop up.
Yeah. I'm 90% certain that is not the case. But then again, that game came out 6 years ago. Do you know what I mean?
I need to make sure I'm not an idiot.
Yeah, no. Class system obviously changed. We mentioned that, but this game did something that Destiny 1 didn't. This game had a lot less and a lot less severe content droughts.
Mm.
There was much more happening in the world that elongated the length between things, but it didn't matter because there was stuff there to fill it. It did get old quickly, just like in any MMO, pretty much, when you've done everything and you've grinded to the top.
Yeah.
But there was still stuff to do that had variety. The public events changed. In the same location, they changed. They weren't always the same. You had heroic events. You had this. You had that. You had everything in between. You had escalation protocol and stuff. For example, when you go to Mars on Warmind, you have the Infinite Forest and things to go and explore, and you have this and you have that, and there was a lot more to do. There was just a lot more to do. And I think that really has helped Destiny 2 more than anything else.
I was right by shitters, by the way.
Were you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Destiny 1 was one slot, and it did it to all of your stuff. And it wasn't consumable either. It was an item you just put on.
Okay.
Fucking weird.
Yeah.
Anyway.
However, I think we move on to just looking at the world. So as I said before, there was less diversity in Destiny 2. Obviously, this will change. It also will technically never have more diversity because of the new Destiny content vault that's coming out. That is going to house literal planets, which I find funny. But yeah, as I said, the worlds now have so much more to them. A, the way you start missions are different. B, there's adventures. There's little tidbits of lore that are easier to access. There's a lot of sectors that add to that as well. The big thing was, though, the worlds themselves were bigger. If I'm fairly confident, the EDZ could hold like Mars and the Cosmodrome, including the like Wasteland Cosmodrome, all in one.
Really?
Yeah.
Didn't know it was that big.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And so they were a lot bigger. Patrol was now the default. Everything about it was cooler. And you had these things that you can inspect. Now, your ghost will have a little symbol in the top that starts flashing when you're near something that you can scan. And that, if you want to go out and find all these things, is amazing. When you just happen upon them, it's still great. And you didn't have to. And this was added in Taken King. They added in Taken King. But it only happened in certain areas and in certain missions. Destiny 2, they were everywhere. You could learn more about the area, more about the Fallen, more about the Taken, more about this cunt and this person. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just by simply going up to something and scanning it because it was a weird thing in the world. And that, to me, is amazing. That is exactly what I wanted in terms of ease of access to new lore.
Well,
and again, but it doesn't force you to do it. Do you know what I mean? And that's the good thing about it.
I think
it doesn't force you to do
the game balances you. It balances wanting to explore with giving you something in return. Like, because in Destiny 1, the world spaces look so good. All the planets look so cool, so much fun to explore, but they never give you anything really of substance. With Destiny 2, you can go into a drop anywhere and get something out of it. You know what I mean? Whether it be a public event that you know is coming, or just, you know, a cool item you find along the way, or whatever.
Do you know what else as well? Destiny 1 had a lot of mission locked areas. Now, I'm not gonna lie, 90% of that was because of console hardware restrictions. Couldn't really live up to the ability to keep it all in place. I mean, you couldn't have it. Now, though, Shadowkeep being the most perfect example of this, you can literally go fucking anywhere on the moon that you have ever been. The only place you cannot go is to the Crota's End Raid. And that is it. Yeah. I know because I've done the exploration, and even the added places they've added for Shadowkeep, you can go there too outside of missions. You can go there outside of missions. There's certain things that are just doors you can't open, but that's a Destiny thing. That's a game thing, right? It's just, oh yeah, look at this dope. There's nothing behind it.
Oh,
Don't
I
worry
can't
about
go
it.
in. Oh shit.
But like, pardon me, they have added the ability to go pretty much everywhere. If
Yeah.
you've been there in a mission, you can pretty much go there again. It's only certain places like Vex gates that get activated because of a mission and stuff is the only time you really can't. But even then, there's usually ways around it because there's usually ways to get to those areas without the Vex gate anyway. So, like, you can technically do it. It's just a lot less speedy to get there. And that is something I love because it now adds to the exploration. You don't have to go and do a redo a mission where you have a 30-second timer at the end of it to go and look around. Do you know what I mean? You don't have to do that anymore. You can just go, okay, Sam, do you want to go and find out stuff about Titan? Let's go to the archaeology.
Yes, Aaron, I do.
Do you know what I mean?
Let's go.
And like, let's go to the archaeology. But you go to the archaeology, right, okay. You can't go to where the tank buddy went. Do you know what I mean? But that's about it. You can go to where the pistons were. You can go to this. You can go to that, everything else. The only one you can't do is when there's bloody tanks and shit, which I think is fair. Do you know what? It's a completely different game mechanic happening there in that area.
Yeah.
That was designed to happen for the mission. So you shouldn't really be able to go there again. But you can go to a lot of those places even without the tank. And it's like, it's such a good way to do the worlds. And it's something, and they've just added to the beauty of Destiny.
It's bigger and better. It's bigger and better.
It's bigger and better. It is literally bigger and better.
It's exactly what you'd expect it to be. Pretty much.
I remember standing on top of the oil rig on Destiny 2's Titan, looking out at the waves crashing against the archaeology, the pistons going up and down, this and this happening, and it just looks great.
This game has by far one of my, I think, the best skyboxes and best, like, just views in any kind of game like this. I really can't think of a better game. Like, the views in this game are just so good. So, like, seeing the Traveler in the tower, seeing all the animations, all the debris floating around, you know, going to stuff now, like, on Io with pyramids, like they're constantly doing stuff. And it all looks amazing.
And not just that, a lot of the time, a skybox is quite literally just a flat PNG in the background.
Yeah.
In Destiny, every planet you go to has 3D models in the background. Whether it be painted 3D models or literal 3D models like the pyramids, like the tower. Well, actually, no, the tower as well, because the tower's not a part of the game world anymore. The Traveler, do you know what I mean? Titan has the archaeology and everything. And something that Destiny does better than most games, as we said, is evolve the world. You see this evolution in Destiny 2 more than anything else. When you're standing on the oil rig on Titan, for example, you look up and you see the bloody dreadnought. You see the circle around it. You go to Nessus, now that the Leviathan's come. You see the Leviathan in the air with its stars above it powering it. You go to these planets. You go to Io and you see the pyramid ship. You go to the moon, you see the pyramid ship. You go to this place and you see this. You go to this place and you see this. And it's great.
Yeah.
It is something that, like, the shard of the Traveler in the EDZ. It's sticking out. You see the electricity going up it, and you see all this. It is a 3D model in the background, and you love it. It is amazing.
It's incredible. It's incredible. It looks really fucking good, and I think, you know, there are elements to the design. I don't think Destiny 2 looks like the best game ever made, but things like the lighting, things like the designs, like everything like that, like I think it all holds up. I think it all holds it up. Like Destiny 2 still looks fucking great.
It's like I said last night, right? It's like, ultimately, the game looked great when it came out. When it came out in 2016 or 2017.
Damn. That's still a long time ago.
It looked amazing, right? It looked amazing. It was 2017 because this is third year coming up.
Yeah.
So 2017 looked amazing, right? Whoa. Like, this game is... Whew. But the thing is, you compare that game now, today's game, to today's competitive, like, in comparison, compare it to COD Modern Warfare. I would argue that you could say objectively that Destiny still has better graphics in it, in its own way, because It's like look at Crisis 3, for example. Look how old Crisis fucking is, and it still looks amazing if you have the right hardware to this day.
It's the design. It's the art design in Destiny. It's so good. Like the fact that every world in Destiny feels so unique. Like every world, for the most part. Even IO, which is kind of like I don't like IO as a world. It's pretty boring, but like they're doing things to spice up everything in that game. You know, it's really hard to talk about Destiny without mentioning what it's done.
Yeah,
it's really hard to because it's done so much over these last few years.
And this is the thing: you always see these tie-ins, and like I don't know how else to explain it, but like if you go through the worlds, instead of us killing a boss like last time, and the next DLC not really paying any attention to it, as soon as a new DLC comes out that is going to like change the world, it actually does it. It actually changes it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like after Gaul was dead, we had the Osiris DLC. It made it more apparent that Gaul was now gone. Everything was to do about the Red Legion no longer having a leader. They don't know what to do anymore. They're doing this, and the last bloody season was their last ditch effort. It was their last ditch effort to throw a bloody planet-sized ship at our planet, effectively. Like, I mean, it's like, what? And it's great. I love the things like that. Obviously, Destiny's tried to do these live events now, which is something
I think that's a perfect lead into like what Destiny 2 is doing now.
I think one thing actually before we move on is the worlds still had shitty patrol missions. I just want to point this out.
That did.
The world still had shitty patrol missions.
Yeah.
Shadowkeep made them way better because the scan missions were now lore driven. You had Tolan, which you found out about, helps you out. You have literal characters, the nightmares, screaming for your help. And by picking up these things or killing enemies, you are relieving them of their stress effectively.
Yeah.
And you're getting rid of them. You're helping them out. You're changing the world. That's literally what it is. And I think in terms of talking about what is coming in the future, we have to talk about Shadowkeep, right? Shadowkeep probably had the best ever way a game has ever used as an excuse to bring back old antagonists and old enemies to fight you. You have to kill Crowder again. You have to kill the Fanatic again. You have to kill bloody Gaul again.
Shadowkeep is the best way. I think like if a game has to reuse content, they should do it in a way that Shadowkeep did it. Shadowkeep for the most part reused a map. They obviously changed quite a bit of it. Changed a lot of it actually. But they were reusing elements of the map before, reusing enemies. Like it's amazing how much they did reuse if you think about it. It's amazing.
Look at the Scorn. Look at the Taken. So we had our four enemies. We had the Cabal, the Vex, the Hive, Fallen.
Yeah.
We then had the Taken, which was cool. And I think they are so different to their original counterparts. They are just different enemies. And they have done effectively the same thing with the Scorn on the Fallen, where they are now so different to the Fallen, while they are just reskinned enemies, which obviously pisses off some people. People want to see a new race, but this is where we have the pyramid ships coming in. This is that new race. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And these nightmares are, again, they're reskinned versions of the old enemies, but they do it in a very different way. But they are completely different races, effectively. Okay, they're reskinned Fallen, they're reskinned every other enemy. Do you know what I mean? But they have all these abilities that make you have to still fight differently with those people, like every other race has done, which is what they kept up, which is what we mentioned about Destiny 1. It's great. I think to use that to move in is that the game went free to play. With Shadowkeep, the game went free to play. They finally got out their contract with Activision, which, as I said, Activision fucked them because in Destiny 1, the reason why Destiny 1 had such little content to start off with is Darkblow and House of Wolves was supposed to be a part of the original game. That was the original game. That first year of Destiny was the original game. You just had to spend 40 quid to get it.
Yeah.
On top of the 40 quid you already spent. Taken King was supposed to be the first DLC. Rise of Iron was supposed to be the second DLC. And then it was supposed to be the 2-year cycle after that before Destiny 2. That didn't happen because Activision told them, no, you can make this a DLC and you can make this a DLC. Whereas something that Destiny 2 did much better, even under the Activision prize of you need 2 DLCs a year, was they actually made the original game have enough content to wait until that first DLC came out and the second DLC. And now they've gone away from that because Destiny didn't like that. They changed then in Forsaken to being a single year DLC with a seasons thing after it. So you have 3-month seasons. I can't remember what the seasons from Forsaken were, but you had like the addition of the Black Armor, you had the addition of this, you had the addition of that, and it had an evolutionary step without DLC, and that is great. Technically, it is DLC because you have to buy the season pass.
Technically, yeah, that's like a workaround they had.
But the season pass is you don't need to buy the season pass to do it. Do you know what I mean?
And you still get stuff technically, even if you don't buy it.
In Forsaken, you had to buy it to get all the things, like to get access to all of the things. But in Destiny's newest expansion with Shadowkeep, you don't. If you have Shadowkeep, it'll give you the first season pass anyway, which I thought was great. Great way of doing it, Bungie. Do you know what I mean? Well done. Then you had to buy the season pass after that if you wanted to. And the way that they went back to Osiris in the next season and then back to Warmind again in the next season is actually great. Now that we know that they're taking Mars out, it's great that they've done that. Do you know what I mean? Now that they're taking Mercury out, it's great that they've done that.
Yeah.
And obviously they're adding Europa in Beyond the Light. Beyond Light. We have the Season of Arrivals now, which is a prelude and an epilogue for the original season of this current game year. So we now have effectively the ending of that closed small story of the single pyramid ship on the moon. That obviously area is activated by touching. And then we have this new pyramid ship and this pyramid ship fleet that we found in the last season, the Season of the Worthy, that Rasputin had been tracking. Rasputin is now offline in the Season of Arrivals. Do you know what I mean? Again, spoiler alerts. If you're here and you don't want to hear spoilers, we're going to be talking
I feel like this isn't going to make sense to people who even play the game, because this is a lot of information.
Yeah.
A lot of shit happened.
Yeah, so a lot of shit happened. The pyramids have now turned up on Io. They're now going to... I think it's halfway through the season or something, they turn up on Titan. And we have to fight them off, effectively.
Yeah.
At every whim. We're currently trying to collect their darkness. We're literally collecting their darkness, which I think is a crazy way to foreshadow what was going to happen in Beyond Light before they actually told us what was going to happen in Beyond Light.
Yeah.
So in Beyond Light, Europa also has a pyramid ship on it. That is what we know. It has a pyramid ship on it. We know about that. It will be the first time ever, and this is the evolution that we're on about in Destiny, that we're going to get a new elemental damage. We're also going to be able to wield the darkness for the first time ever, which is mind-boggling. It is great. It is amazing. It is something that everyone has wanted to see since we've been told about Dredgen Yor from the beginning of Destiny 1. It's something we've all wanted to see. Alongside that, right, they've hinted at, they've told us, they've given us a roadmap for the Witch Queen and Lightfall.
Yeah.
Now, Lightfall is the penultimate ending to this pyramid ship story, apparently. Obviously, they could just be telling us that, do you know what I mean? To not make us think, oh, you know.
That's 100% what they're doing.
Yeah, all of this is leading up to that. And we finally, as I said, Destiny and Bungie love to tie things in a big, nice circular loop. The mysterious stranger is back. She is the one that shows us the end of the world. She is from Europa, and she is coming back to us with another world, universe-ending threat. The pyramid ship is cooking something up on Europa, apparently. And the pyramid ships are here to stay as well, by the way. We don't get rid of the pyramid ships until Lightfall. That is apparently the thing. The pyramid ships are going to be an everlasting thing until then. And something a Season of Arrivals is doing as well is that it's a year until we get the Witch Queen DLC, which is when Savathun is obviously going to show her face. We are already getting watched by Savathun now on IO. I love that. That is amazing to me. Like you have these little taken eyes that are peering into our dimension
Mm.
all around IO. They're watching you doing the contact public events, this and that. It is great. I pointed it out to Sam. I'm not sure how many people actually noticed it because Sam didn't notice it,
I
and
did
he and I
not.
were playing the game together. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, there's all these things, and oh,
Okay,
it's so good.
that was a big lore dump. There's a lot of shit going on, right? There's a lot of stuff happening. I think the interesting thing with the new, like with Shadowkeep, with everything coming along, is that Destiny now. I feel like Destiny had these moments before with 1 and 2 where things were happening, and then things settled down. Things weren't really going on. Shit was pretty quiet for a long time, and then things are happening again, and things are pretty quiet down. Pretty average for like MMOs like this or whatever the fuck. Like it's pretty common. I feel like Destiny 2 now is really starting to hit a rhythm where it's pretty rare where something isn't going on. Like, I can't remember the last time there was supreme just downtime in Destiny. Now, granted, we weren't there for the last season because I wasn't particularly interested in what was going on. And also, like, we just never got around to actually doing it.
Yeah, me and Sam play quite a lot of games together and stuff now.
Yeah.
And like it is quite hard sometimes to like keep up with doing all of the Destiny thing. And something we have found that we do is that we tend to burn ourselves out really quickly. Because as we said, we've had 24 hours of that playing that game in the last 4 days.
Mm.
That means an entire day of the last 4 days was spent playing Destiny.
Yep.
We have already told each
hard.
other, yeah, we go hard or we go home is quite literally it. We have told each other we're going to obviously slow it down a bit for this one because we want to stay in the season throughout.
Mm.
Which I think is going to be a lot easier because we are so hyped for the new DLC. Like
it's fun. It's engaging shit that's coming up, you know?
Yeah. And I've already pre-ordered it. Sam's already pre-ordered it. Like we know we are going to play that DLC. We know we want to play that DLC.
Yeah.
And even if we do burn out halfway through this season, we've still done pretty much all of the season's worth of stuff by then. And we can just hop in every week to do some stuff to keep up. As long as we max out our light, this season ultimately is all meant to be a prelude anyway.
Yeah.
We can just watch it and then come back to be online. And that's the thing. This season is great because it allows you to do whatever you want with it and still be ready for Beyond Light. Ultimately, we want to be ready for Beyond Light by being max light level so that when we go into it, we didn't have the issue we had with this one, which was we were like 100 light lower than any of the activities. So to do anything from this season, we had to do a bunch of grinding before we even got to the activities.
Yeah.
Which is always a bitch. Do you know what I mean? You never want to do that. You always want to be playing the game.
And I gotta get my my Warlock and shit up as well now.
Yeah, and so like I might do my Titan, for example. I might do my Titan and go and get my Titan up and things. And like and that's something that will keep us going throughout the season as well. Like all before we just fucking blew our load on our one character and then never went back to do the rest.
Here's the thing. Destiny gets me excited, right? Because there's very few other games that I can go in and have so many things to do, have so many like mini goals I want to achieve, and go into a session, come out of it at the other end, feel completely fulfilled because I've done my dailies, I've done everything. Like no other game feels that way to me. And I think that's because of everything that we've talked about today, like the way the game's presented, the way the gameplay works, the way characters work, like everything in the Destiny is just so satisfying to me. But they didn't get there. They didn't get to this point without fucking up a lot along the way. They made a lot of mistakes.
I think, but honestly, I forgive them because I don't think you look at World of Warcraft, you look at all these other MMOs, Elder Scrolls Online, all these Fallout 76. Do you mean?
Yeah.
None of them have done anything well. I'm not gonna lie. They've gotten to a point where they're great now. Fallout 76 is the exception to that. But
yeah.
They all started off good enough to keep everyone involved. They were not good enough to really get people that weren't into the world already. I think Destiny 2 did it because it was built upon Destiny 1 where they got rid of that problem. But like Destiny...
even then, Destiny 2 in the beginning had some issues.
Oh yeah.
A lot of issues.
You're never going to be able to make a perfect MMO. It's going to be impossible. It'll be impossible.
The first 2 years of an MMO, at least in my experience, are always they're kind of just like
figuring it out.
You're figuring it along the way. You see how you go, see how it feels.
Because the thing is, you design the world then to how your player base is.
Yeah.
Because you don't know you can't build the world depending on the player base until you have the player base.
Exactly.
So like you have to start development for the second year though, before the player base is really settled in. And then in the second year, that's when you can start changing things.
Destiny is all about hitting that groove, hitting the ground running eventually, and essentially creating a pretty memorable experience at the end of it. I think everyone's really fond of Destiny 1 now. I think back in its beginning, this first couple of years, I think it's a bit rough, but I think everyone looks back at that game fondly now. And I think for the most part, Destiny 2 is mutually loved and accepted. I think like they still make missteps, don't get me wrong. I think there's little missteps every now and then they do with balancing, yada yada yada. There's a lot of stuff we can touch on. But Destiny 2, I think, is at the point now where I think they're doing a lot of really good shit. They're doing a lot of really cool things. And I think that's kind of what Destiny's all about. They fuck up a lot, but in the end, Destiny is just so much fun to play. Such a fun universe to be in. Such an interesting community to be a part of. Like, it's just cool.
I think it's as well. It's alongside that is they have fundamentally had issues. We know this, but while they've had all those bads, which is always what someone focuses on, even within that bad, it is always majority good.
Yeah.
I would say I can't remember a time that it's ever been 60-40 to the bad and not 60-40 to the good. There are some seasons which are verging on being like 51-49, definitely. But it always will be overall good and not overall bad. And I think it shows because the game's still around. Ultimately, the only time I think the closest time you had it to being overall just bad was year 1, Destiny 1. Not even year 1. First 2.5 months of Destiny 1. That was when I think you find that game was the worst. That is the worst this series has ever been. And as we've shown, as we've grown, we have become more and more gleeful over this series as we've come through this video.
Yeah.
And like I've put down here like some extra things about it. But ultimately, I think what you have to look at is they've changed now to a system of single major DLC per year. Right? They've added the season's content drop system. And alongside this, and this is something that both me and Sam didn't like about Destiny, was you were a god. We know you're a god. We've spoken about this. You were a demigod. You came in, you fucked shit up. But now there's enough of you that are already doing that. You don't want more people that are supposed to be coming in and fucking shit up the same way that you were the gifted guardian. You don't feel
special among an entire millions of player base doing the same
However,
thing.
now they've set it up that you have the legendary guardians, like myself, for example, who have come Destiny 1 all the way through.
Yeah.
You then have players like Sam, who came in Destiny 2. They're effectively the new light. Okay, that didn't happen until Shadowkeep, but the new light system now makes it that the new players come in and they're quite literally looking up to the legendary guardians and being like, yo, dude, what? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you can go back and do legacy missions and stuff and relive. Do you know what I mean? And you can relive that Red War and stuff. But realistically, you weren't there to do it. Do you know what I mean? You were never there to do it.
It's that thing of the new players come in and they have those moments that Destiny 1 people had where it's like, whoa, look at that cool weapon, look at that cool armor set. But now it's with Destiny 2, and I think them going to free to play was the best thing they could have done, because obviously new audience and all that. But it just made the game more fresh. It made the game fresh again. Like, you weren't playing with people who had thousands of hours. You were playing with some new people. You're playing with people coming back to the game for the first time in a while. Like, it was really cool. It was really really cool.
A major issue I have with playing on PC, and this is going to sound really dumb, but I spent so many hours with my character on Xbox to then move to Xbox One and play Destiny 2 as well, transfer it over, everything like that. I then kind of had to restart when I wanted to play on PC. I couldn't transfer it over from my Xbox to PC. I could now, but then I would have lost all of my time playing Forsaken and everything on my PC that I wouldn't be able to regain on my character now. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, there needed to be when I think Destiny 2 came out and it was going to be on PC because it was on PC from the start, right?
Mm.
Like I think when it came out and it was on PC from the start, you needed the option to take it from Xbox or PlayStation to the PC or vice versa. Do you know what I mean? And then and take your character there because if I was using my character now, that character went through year 1 of Destiny, year 2 of Destiny, year 3 of Destiny, year 4 of Destiny, year 1 of Destiny 2, year 1 of 2 of Destiny. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It did all of that, but it doesn't. I don't have. I have done all that, but my character now has nothing to show for it. There was emblems and stuff I had from my first character that showed I am an OG player. I don't have that anymore.
Mm.
People just think I'm some random Destiny 2 player that has started on PC, but I haven't. I had to restart, and I think if there was a way to like mesh my two characters together, which is obviously not going to be because no one's ever going to do that.
Mm.
If that was a thing I could do now, I would 100% do it.
Yeah.
And I think the only issue is a lot of people are now moving to PC to play Destiny because of the whole free-to-play model and stuff, and the fact it's on Steam and everything now, so it's much more like streamlined. I think a lot of people lose that ability in terms of thing, but they're going to make it all cross-platform. Do you know what I mean? It is all eventually going to be cross-platform. They're hoping that by next year, you'll be able to play with your PlayStation mates and your Xbox mates on the computer, and vice versa.
And that's the thing.
And if that is the case, I would love to go to my Destiny 2 file and see all of my stuff and show you my character. Do you know what I mean?
Well,
like,
this is the thing. Like,
this is my guy.
With the whole like, eventually, I'm hoping like some of my friends who don't have PC have PS4 and all that can get New Light. Jump in with us and like play some Destiny. Like, I love how homogenous it's becoming. It's just like it's getting so easy to just try out Destiny, and I feel like if somehow you've stumbled across this video, you've never played Destiny, you've gotten to this point, try Destiny 2. It's free, New Light, go for it, because I feel like I didn't know how much I would have enjoyed Destiny if I hadn't just started playing it, because like it's crazy to me how much fun Destiny actually is. It's crazy to me.
I don't think words can describe. I don't think words can describe how amazing the universe is until you're in it, until you're actively playing the game and feeling it. Do you know what I mean? Like, now that the original content from Destiny 1 is going to leave the game, I have low-key thought about asking Sam to redo the first 3 campaigns. So Red War again, Osiris and Warmind before the end of the season, not only as a filler thing to do, because you can go back and look at that legacy content. You can do that, and that's something that Destiny's always done. Obviously, they're doing this whole Destiny content vault thing now to make sure that the game file isn't too big, and I think that's a great idea. I think it's done well, and it allows them to do engine adjustments, and it allows them to do this and stuff to keep the game modern, to keep the game going,
to keep it fresh. Keep it moving. I think Destiny 2 now is at the point where all they gotta do is keep this momentum up. As long as they can keep it up, Destiny 2 will live.
They had 2 options. They either do what they're doing, where they start removing things and adding new things, and rotating things in. Like, they're bringing back the Cosmodrome from Destiny 1, for example. They're bringing back all the strikes from it. They're going to be bringing back the Vault of Glass raid to be done in Destiny 2. Like, all of these things are legacy things that aren't going to have a consequential thing at all on the Destiny 2 world. But it is something that I can assure you nearly every Destiny 1 player coming to Destiny 2, and even Destiny 2 players that didn't manage to get to play Destiny 1, especially if they're on PC, and they don't own a console, they can't go back and play it. They'll now have the ability to experience some of these worlds, and apparently they're adding things to these worlds to make them Destiny 2-esque as well.
Awesome.
So they're going to have new lore things there. They're going to have new things, adventures, and stuff like that are going to make you go back there and learn about those worlds that I spent hours sifting through Grimoire Cards and stuff to do. And I'm glad you won't have to do it. I'm glad Sam won't have to do that. Even though he played the game, I'm glad he'll have a better way to do it. Because however much I love doing it, I like reading things like that. It's my kind of thing. I wouldn't say anyone else should have to do it. It shouldn't be something you have to do.
There should be multiple ways to get the same content. You know what I mean?
And now they're going to do that. So
Destiny 2, Destiny as a whole, is amazing. I think we've talked about all the missteps. We talked about all, the good parts. I think Destiny 2 is at a place now where it truly is feeling like something. Like
Yeah, I think we got to look to the future, really. I mean, like ultimately, we've spoken about everything we can speak about these games as of right now, as of the here and now, and what they have done, what they are, But we need to look at what they are going to do. Like they have already set up for the first time, effectively a 3-year plan. So we got this year, the year after, and the year after that. We don't know what the seasons look like between them, and I love that. I love that they've given us. You've got this massive DLC. You got this massive DLC. You got this massive DLC. It doesn't tell you what entails in the years between, other than what effectively is going to happen in that first season. Obviously, the first season of The Witch King is going to be you facing up against Savathun. The first season of Beyond Light is us facing up against Pyramid Shifts. The first season of Lightfall is going to be apparently taking our last stand to stop the Pyramid Shifts from winning, to stop another collapse. Do you know what I mean? It's like, holy shit, the stakes that we know we have on the line over across the next 3 years are massive.
I think them setting up a definitive future where we have things to look forward to, where we have this game carrying on into like the next console generation, right? This game is going to feel like a constant, right? So it's always going to be there. It's always going to be evolving, and that excites me to no end. That is so exciting.
And to add to that, right, is that we're going to have these years. We're going to have these seasons. We're going to have the addition of cross-platform play between Xbox One and Xbox One and Xbox Series X, and you're going to have PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4 play, and then eventually PC integrated into that ecosystem too. Do you know how hard it is to play a game for as consistency as Destiny 2, right? Where I've got thousands of hours in it, right? Knowing there's going to be a big DLC at the end of the year, I know there's going to be one at September, without fail. I know there's going to be there. Do you know how hard it is to go, oh, well, what if this Destiny 3 this time instead of a new game, instead of a new DLC? Obviously, we don't have that anymore, so I know I can pump hours into this one, because if it was anything like the Destiny 2 transition, it would have just been your character gets reset as base light anyway, and you just get taken over to this other game. Like, there's no point grinding anymore. You just do the story and then stop. And that is something that they clearly have, and they've said they do not want to do anymore. They don't want that as a thing. They want to make sure everything's in the game all at once. That's why they've got this Destiny content vault. They're going to be rotating things in every single year. And that's the other thing as well. It gives you a year to explore this shit. And they're going to take the least travel to places out, and they're going to add new environments in. And they're going to add to, say, Titan or Io if they bring those back. They're going to add to these places. And that's what they've said. They're going to make those places evolve with the world as you see it live.
Yeah.
And I think that way of doing it is amazing. And do you know what else? Do you know what else, people, that allows them to do? Is it allows them to update the graphics. And this is something that is a sneaky little way of doing it. If you take out Io, take out Titan, take out Mercury, take out Mars, right? Take out 4 planets. You now have the EDZ. That is the oldest one there then. That is the oldest thing in the system and Nessus. When Europa comes out, I bet you Europa looks better than the others. Shadowkeep already looks better than the others. You know what I mean? It looks magnificent seeing this spire in the air just like there. You know what I mean? It looks great. As they take those out and they start putting them back in, you'll see these Shadowkeep improvements, these Europa Beyond Light improvements to the world on the worlds you already know and you love. And you can just go back, and then it makes you go back there and go play it. Like, look at Io. I would never have spent as much time on Io as I have now. It is the least. It's the worst. It's the place I've just never gone. I just don't go to Io. I only go there now because A, it's actually really cool to look at, and B, there's something to do. Titan had something to do because you could use it as a place to do public events and kill a lot of enemies without very much effort. That was why Titan was my go-to place to level up. You can do public events, adventures, patrol missions, all of that, and they were in very concise, close areas. And you can expand the reaches of it as well. You can go to other releases. EDZ, again, it shows you these bases and these ships, etc. Io always was just kind of, there was this one base, There's this one little area. There was the Pyramidion, big whoop. You couldn't go in the Pyramidion. Do you know what I mean? Like there was a couple of places to explore around the Pyramidion. We couldn't actually go in there.
Mm.
And it's like, all right, fair. Like, do you know what I mean? Like that's pretty much it. So yeah, that's pretty much it for me. But I think the way the Destiny's going is looking amazing. It is looking super exciting, and now is the time to get into the game,
Get
to
involved.
set yourself up for Beyond Light, and love the game. And I bet you, and like if you like Mass Effect, if you like Fallout, these kinds of games, you will like this game.
I think, but like on
If
that
you
point,
like Halo,
I think it's hard to compare Destiny to other games. I think it's really difficult too because I think the flow is completely different to like a lot of
100%.
games.
But I think like just if you enjoy those feels,
Yeah.
you'll enjoy it.
My thing is like, there's no better time to jump into Destiny 2. Like just get involved in it now. Destiny 2 might seem daunting at first because there's a lot to Destiny 2. There's a lot of content you can get through.
Yeah, if you start the game now, there's a lot to do.
There's a
You have all
lot.
the Leviathan raid. You have the
There's
Garden
almost
of
too
Salvation
much.
raid. You have the Lost Scourge. You have the Lost Wish. You have all these raids and this, that, and the other.
Yeah, and that's just shit at the end. That's just stuff you got to think about. Like once you've done everything else,
You've got, what is it, 58 adventures, 54 lost sectors, 63 missions. What was the? They listed it all off. There's a fuck ton of stuff to do.
There's a lot to do. If you want a game with content, especially a free-to-play game with content, I don't know how much New Light actually does give you access to. I can't
Everything
remember.
other than Cherokee
Okay,
and
so
Forsaken.
that's a hell of a lot of content that you can just get involved with. And I think if you're new to Destiny, go give it a shot. If you were a fan of Destiny 2 and you're like, I don't know it's all in it, go back, check it out. See, find communities to be a part of, and then just join subreddit, like whatever, get involved because Destiny 2 is so much fun. It's so good. It's so good. I love it.
Yeah, it's great. And I think on that note is a good time to end this video. I don't think there's much more we can talk about, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna call it. It's been 2 hours and almost 20 minutes.
2.5 hours, right?
Yeah, it's been long. I'm so sorry for uncut viewers.
This is going to be an especially long one because we weren't, unlike the other games, we weren't just looking at what has happened in the game, what has happened in the universe.
This was a more special look at Destiny as a whole. Looking at what it's doing, what it's trying to do.
Realistically, I don't think we're ever going to look at a game like this again. It's not going to be a game where it is a here and now and advancing thing. Every game we're going to do is going to be a set release, and so we can just discuss the releases.
Best part is a year from now, we might come back. We might come back talking about Destiny, because that's something that's going to happen, and that's the cool part of Destiny 2. Either way, thank you so much for watching. If you want to check out our Twitch, our Twitter, links down below in the description. Want to check out any other Playback episodes, be sure to check out our channels. Aaron's got the uncut episodes of the Playback. I've got the edited ones on my channel. Links down below in the description for both of those. And yeah, have a nice day. Bye bye. Say bye, Aaron. Bye bye.
See ya.
Bye.